disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. We are expecting another beautiful day here in mid-Missouri. Sunny today with a high of around 64 degrees. Clear skies tonight with a low near 38. The outlook for tomorrow, increasing cloudiness with a high near 54. And Wednesday, mostly sunny and a high of 61 degrees. Good morning, everyone, and here's some of the stories we are working on for you at this hour. Staffing shortages and COVID are to blame for the decision to close the Jefferson City Animal Shelter to the public this week, starting this morning. City officials say the shelter lacks staff needed to remain open to the public. Jefferson City Police say the decision will allow the shelter's limited staff to focus on their core public safety duties and to care for the shelter's animal population. The shelter is suspending all owner releases and intakes into the shelter until further notice. If you'd like to schedule a pet viewing, you can contact the shelter 573-634-6429 to do so. An arraignment date has not been set yet for that accused Boone County murder captured in Iowa. 36-year-old Mark Achterberg is charged with first-degree murder and armed criminal action for the November 8th death of Justin Stidham, who was shot to death at a home on North Kent Drive. Achterberg captured by authorities in Creston, Iowa. Boone County Sheriff's Captain Brian Lear tells the Eagle that Boone County deputies are waiting for the extradition hearing in Iowa. It's been delayed a few times. The suspect is still jailed without bond. Columbia police say 2 juveniles have been detained for that Thanksgiving morning shooting near Old Highway 63, an incident that left another juvenile with life-threatening injuries. Columbia police say the victim was transported to a local hospital. CPD says the 2 juvenile suspects are in the custody of Boone County juvenile authorities. They add this is not a random act of violence. They did not elaborate. United Airlines' recent decision to indefinitely suspend flights at Columbia Regional Airport involves pilot and staffing shortages. That's according to COU's manager. Michael Parks tells 93.9 The Eagle CEO Roundtable the decision is not permanent. He adds COU has a great relationship with United.
United will be back. It's all about timing and getting things right with their business. But they had to make that decision, and unfortunately, we were one on that list.
United will suspend flights at Columbia Regional in January. Mr. Parks says the last flight will be on January 3rd. That is a Monday. United currently operates 2 daily flights from Columbia to O'Hare in Chicago. COU, one of 8 airports impacted by United's indefinite suspension. The manager also telling Fred Perry that flights from COU to Charlotte are likely to happen. He says they're having conversations with American Airlines about Charlotte. You can hear more of this interview on our website, 939theeagle.com. They talk about a number of issues, including Mizzou being in the Southeastern Conference, the impact that has had on Columbia Regional Airport. Speaking of the airport, you have an opportunity this week to sign your name on the final beam of the new terminal being built at COU. Beam signing and topping off ceremony set for Thursday afternoon, 1:30. Columbia's Mayor Brian Treese and Jefferson City's Mayor Carrie Turgeon will speak at the ceremony. And part of Madison Street in downtown Jefferson City will be closed this morning as the 2021 Missouri Governor's Mansion Christmas trees arrive. Governor Parson says a 30-foot Norway spruce donated by Steve and Carla Leibel of Columbia will be displayed on the mansion lawn. The mansion's interior tree is a 20-foot Norway spruce. That one is supplied by Herman's Pea Ridge Forest. Carla Leibel is Zimmer Radio's manager. She and her husband donated the tree because it had grown too large for their front yard here in Columbia. Missouri Department of Conservation and OA will be installing the trees sometime this morning. Again, it depends on when they arrive. The annual tree lighting ceremony and candlelight tours will take place Friday evening, 6 to 8 at the Governor's Mansion. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you on this Monday morning by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning, ensuring the air in which you live and breathe is comfortable and clean. For all your heating needs, log on to airserve.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:07. In sports at 6:07 here on 93.9 The Eagle, former Chief star lineman Curly Culp has passed away at the age of 75. Kansas City Star reports he'd been battling pancreatic cancer. He was a key player on the Chiefs team that won Super Bowl IV. Hank Stram, the coach of that team. Again, Curly Culp dead at the age of 75. Mizzou women's basketball team now 7-0. They won the Christmas City Classic in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania yesterday. They beat Lehigh 88-67. Lauren Hansen, 34 points for Mizzou. Mizzou with 15 three-pointers on Sunday. And Mizzou finishes the regular season 6-6. They are bowl eligible. They fell to number 25 Arkansas Friday afternoon at Frank Broyles Field in Fayetteville. 34-17. Tiger running back Tyler Beatty, 219 yards on the ground, 41 carries. He had a touchdown as well on Friday. And Mizzou will wait any bowl announcement. We won't know those bowl announcements until next Sunday morning after the championship Saturday football games. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:08. All right, John, thanks. Good to hear your voice this morning. 36 in Columbia.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com to find a job. Post your job opening today. Roads are quiet. Again, a reminder for those of you in downtown Jefferson City this morning, it's going to seem like traffic will be heavier than normal. It's because the state employees were off on both Thursday and Friday. And keep in mind, the Christmas trees will be arriving to the governor's mansion sometime between 7 and 8. Part of Madison will be shut down during that time between 7 and 8 a.m. this morning. So be prepared for that, especially if you work at some of the banks. Ameren, all the shops up and down Madison, be prepared for that. And you will see the trees being delivered. A lot of television cameras will be in that area as well. If you want to report a traffic issue, call or text us 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
What more do I have to do to get these kids the help that they need unimpeded? From a freaking piece of cloth over their face. I don't understand. I don't know what else to do except be loud and keep fighting this. I don't understand why.
That's the parent of a Columbia Public School District student from a couple of weeks ago. As a matter of fact, I was filling in on the Mike Ferguson show, which airs weekdays, 4 o'clock here on 93.9 The Eagle. She came on the show when I filled in, and she's exasperated. She was actually talking about IEP, those IEP programs, something having to do with that. But again, it goes back to a larger picture with the Columbia Public School District. Lack of communication, and when they are communicated with, it's getting, and I'll, usually, okay, so sometimes a parent gets upset, and you're going to complain about something, and you go to somebody and you tell your side of the story. But remarkably, everybody that I am talking to, and even in some of my experiences in dealing with the school district, are spot on, consistent with everything that we have been hearing from local parents. And now a big decision for a lot of parents this morning, because this side getting armed with some ammo late last week as we were getting ready for the Thanksgiving holiday. We think we got some ammo in the argument and making the case saying, listen, man, drop this mandate on kids wearing masks. They want to wear the mask, let them wear the mask at school. If parents don't want to send them in masks, don't make them.
Well, I don't know that that it will help in schools, but Judge Green in Cole County did rule against the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services last week. Some folks had sued over the local health orders specifically, and he basically said, yeah, local health orders are no good, and said they're, unenforceable.
And coming up here, Shirley Hathaway, according to an email message from the chief communications officer in the Columbia Public School District to a parent, their take on it. St. Louis County Parents Association, their take on it. Because of this ruling and to start the long process of healing, many parents in St. Louis County will be sending their children to school without a mask beginning Monday, November 29th. That's the day today. That's in St. Louis. Apparently, a lot of parents are going to be doing it here, too. And now that side, they have some new ammo. I'm not kidding. I think I heard about this Wednesday morning, and by Thursday morning, boom, new variant all across the world, you would think. And I love that there's a head, and I saved this because I figured that it would be gone. Well, there was a headline from CNN, and this typifies what it is that we talk about, that fear and that control. Listen to this headline from CNN. It's so blatant that you go, really? You're just going that blatant about it? And CNN says, yes, we are. Here's the headline. This is from yesterday. The Omicron variant is raising concerns during the holiday travel season, but don't panic just yet.
Oh, goodness.
I want to make sure everybody can fact check me, Steph. You see the headline there? You can fact check me. That's the headline.
Don't panic just yet.
Don't panic just yet. Hauswirth, you get my back on this one?
I can see it.
What it says. CNN. Don't panic. Just wait till we tell you to panic.
Well, and I heard, some people think that the booster, if you're fully vaccinated and you have the booster, that this should catch it. But if not, we're already working on developing a booster that specific to this variant, which is weird because you think, this whole time they said, it's not the flu, it's not the flu, it's not the flu. But now we're going to get annual boosters targeted to the kinds of variants that are, of the day. Isn't that exactly what the flu shot does every year? They kind of manipulate it and predict what flu are we going to get this year? And you have to go get that year's flu vaccine every year. It's sounding more and more like it's what we do with the flu.
Crapshoot. We're going to guess what flus might be the hot strain this year. These flu strains hoping we get included in What's Hot with Hannah. And then we're hoping the doctors get it right. And then we're just going to put this stuff in your body and stand back and watch. Some of us are going to collect some cash. Some of us are going to get paid on these bets, on these gambles. Some of us ain't. Fauci, yesterday, Fox, already.
As I've said so often, prepare for the worst.
CNN, no need to panic just yet. Fauci, prepare for the worst.
It's like they hate holidays or something because it seems like right before we're about to gather, either for 4th of July, Thanksgiving, or Christmas, they're like, prepare for the worst.
And I remember a big holiday several months ago on July 4th when Joe said that we've declared freedom from the thing, So this is, but I want to highlight some audio. This is Dr. Angelique Coetzee. She is chairwoman of the South African Medical Association. For me, this is hard to hear because I don't do well with, that's why I cannot stand. What's the show with the dude, Jason Sudeikis? He's the soccer coach in England. Anybody watch that show?
I don't recognize.
Nobody knows this show. Everybody's talking about it. Wins award, and I'm the one who can't remember the name of it.
Talking about, is it Ted Lasso?
Yes, that show. Everybody raves on that show. I can't watch it because I can't understand accents. Dr. Angelique Coetzee, chairwoman of the South African Medical Association. Here's what she's saying about this new variant.
Looking at the mildness of the symptoms that we are seeing, currently there's no reason for panicking, as we don't see severely ill patients.
So she's saying we don't see any need for panic. And you'll notice the one word she didn't use, which I thought was really key and important. She didn't use the word yet. She said, just no need to panic.
Currently, there's no reason for panicking.
She did say currently there is no need for panicking. Is that the same thing as don't panic yet?
It's how they're parsing out these words, man. It's insane. So here locally, so you have that, and then you have this ruling by this judge late last week, and confusion, as a matter of fact, and I don't know if it's confusion or just not informing ourselves enough, and I'll take some of that. But here's an email from Columbia Public School District from the Chief Communications Officer to a local parent, John Potter. He has shared this with me. So he's asking in his email what's going on. And here is the response. We have heard of, here is some of the response. We have heard some confusion within our community regarding a recent court decision, how it might affect COVID mitigation measures in place. CPS, as you mentioned, ruling came out from Cole County Circuit Judge in a case brought by a handful of St. Louis citizens. And I think I'm reading tone in this email. I got to stop it.
Well, and I think, so there's some confusion because of the way that these orders and the schools have handled themselves. And so the judge's order deals with local health authorities. So if you recall, last year the schools implemented certain policies because the government was implementing those policies on them. So Southern Boone was saying, hey, we don't really want masks, we don't really want this quarantine, but Boone County is telling us what we have to do because there was a local health order in place and the schools had to follow that local health order. What the judge has said is what Boone County, if Boone County had an order right now, what they're doing is unconstitutional. And so to the extent Southern Boone currently had a policy that was dictated by the county, that would be wiped away. But what's happened in Boone is it's not anything that Boone County's done. It's something that the school district specifically has done. And I think that's the confusion because I think in St. Louis, there I think are some schools that probably are being dictated. And I think part of it too is the part that the court did reach as far as schools go is if the school is still following quarantine procedures based on a local health order or a local health decision, then the school needs to go back and revise that. And I think that's what the judge said about schools. But it's not just that. I mean, I think if the school has a mask mandate of its own without being forced to do so by the county, that the court's order doesn't touch that.
CPS goes on to reply to this parent. As you mentioned, ruling came out. The decision judge ruled an unconstitutional multiple DHSS, Department of Health and Senior Services, regulations that govern local health departments and grant them, the health departments, grant them the authority to make decisions like capacity limits, blah, blah, blah. Columbia Public Schools was not a party to this litigation. And the DHSS regulations at issue in the recent court decision do not apply directly to school districts. That's from the school district in a response to a parent. Although CPS remains in contact with the Columbia Boone County Health Department, along with other public health agencies and authorities, the district's internal COVID mitigation measures are regularly reviewed and approved by the elected Board of Education. Thank you for your continued conversations and so on and so forth. So parents apparently, and I don't know how that's going to shake out this morning. I don't know if I'd use my kid as a pawn in sending them to school. Go ahead, just go without a mask. The way we interpret this ruling, it's unconstitutional. And besides, what are they going to do to you? Go ahead. Would you use your child in that way? Would you leverage your child to do that? He's 6. I know you're only 6, Hannah, but come on. Defy the government. Coming up, we have your daily D.C. Rundown, 625 with Stephanie Bell. What do you have for us today?
We have a big showdown in the Supreme Court this week.
It's coming up, 625. We'll do that for you here on 93.9 The Eagle. Also here this morning, the moment we make somebody's holiday wish come true on 93.9 The Eagle. We'll do that 645. Hey, right now, home sales through the roof. Home inspectors in high demand since their work is obviously it's a critical step in the purchase process. Good morning. I'm Branden Rathert for the Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau. Only a thorough professional inspection of your home's physical condition, the physical structure, mechanical condition, all that good stuff, roof to foundation, that will uncover the issues that you're going to need to watch for as a homeowner. And we're seeing this with these homes being sold and bought. And people don't know how they got to get. You need to check out home inspectors. Yeah, there's reviews on them, too. Learn more from the Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau at bbb.org.
Wake Up Columbia with Branden Rathert. Inspired and on fire. 93.9 The Eagle.
39 countries in Europe restrict abortions earlier than 15 weeks.
That's State Reeves. He's the governor of Mississippi. That on the just before a big day of the Supreme Court, United States of America. And that gets us into today's Daily D.C. Rundown with Stephanie Bell.
Yes, so Wednesday, the court will be hearing the Dobbs case, and it will be all over the news this week. It's a huge case. They are looking at both Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood v. Casey, the two landmark decisions on abortion, and it is dealing with the Mississippi law, and that law banned abortions after 15 weeks. And so, I mean, it's the first time in a while that abortion's been back up, and people are speculating all over the board about, we won't know until next summer what the actual decision is. But, there's always people out there speculating based on the judges' questions and based on, what they know about the judges. And because we have new justices on the court, there's a lot of speculation about what they're going to do. And there's a lot of review about what they've said in the past about abortion. And so we know Justice Clarence Thomas has said before that he has looked, he believes that Roe v. Wade should be reconsidered. I think he's the only one who's come out and said that. But other justices have written, opinions on abortion, and everyone's kind of trying to speculate where's this going to go.
How do, over the years, when it comes to, because these are judges, they're ruling on the validity of law, not on moral issues?
Right. And so I think justices, their job is to rule on the law. And so I would think often justices get in a position where, they don't personally agree with something, but they feel bound by what the law says to make the right decision. And that's part of what's going on. There's a thing called stare decisis, and how do you view the law that's already in place, which is, Roe v. Wade, and, do you overturn it, or does it is it the law of the land? So it'll be really interesting to see how that goes. Today in D.C., there's also so we'll be watching that. I'm sure we'll hear a lot more about that this week. But today in D.C., a couple of interesting things. Biden will be speaking on the Omicron variant about his thoughts. And then also Congress is back. They've got some important things on their list before Christmas, talking about things like the debt ceiling. There was a big showdown in October, and that's set to kind of reignite this week.
And plus, Joe's got to bring back all his goods from staying at his billionaire buddy's house over the weekend while he talked about how bad he felt for people during inflation. I think Kamala was in Paris buying some fancy cookware while she, too, was saying, the inflation, it's hitting all of us. These are all true stories. This is Wake Up Columbia. There's Stephanie Bell. Good morning, Stephanie.
Good morning.
There's Hannah, the producer.
What up?
My name is Branden Rathert. Coming up, Fox News is here. So what it is that they're figuring out this morning about this new variant, we've got this doctor in Africa says, there's no need to worry. Fauci says prepare for the worst. So those are the two extremes we're working with this morning, kind of.
I think most people would agree Fauci is extreme.
Fauci, prepare for the worst. This other doctor, don't need to worry. Brian Hauswirth, he is going to be here at 6:31 on 93.9 The Eagle. Who are the Democrats liking for president 2024? We're going to go pole dancing at 6:35.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. A ban on travel to the U.S. from 8 southern African nations is in effect today because of a new coronavirus variant first detected there.
Nearly a dozen countries already confirming cases of Omicron, and experts say Biden's travel ban will not stop the variant from reaching the U.S. Health officials also say there's no reason to fear the vaccines would be ineffective against Omicron.
Fox's Marianne Rafferty. Members of the Senate are back at work after the Thanksgiving break today. The House returns tomorrow.
Congress has until Friday night to prevent a partial government shutdown and extend government funding. Another short-term extension is likely without a final deal on a larger year-round spending plan. The Treasury Secretary has also signaled December 15th as the deadline for raising the U.S. debt limit and avoid warnings of a catastrophic default.
Fox's Jared Halpern. America's listening to Fox News.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 6:31, 37 right now in Columbia. Our high today around 64 degrees. Clear skies tonight with the overnight low 38. And the outlook for tomorrow, cloudy skies and a high of 54 degrees. Good morning, everyone, and here's some of the stories we are working on for you at this hour. On this Monday, a mid-Missouri man suffering serious injuries, a one-vehicle crash Thanksgiving night in Boone County. State troopers say 68-year-old Robert Walker of Huntsville was transported to University Hospital in Columbia, the accident happening on Route W. Citing staffing shortages and the issue of COVID, Jefferson City's animal shelter is closed to the public starting this morning. Jefferson City Police say the shelter lacks the staff needed to remain open to the public. All adoptions will be by appointment only. Until further notice, you will need to call the adoption center there at the animal shelter. We'll give you that phone number coming up at 7:03. An accused Columbia killer remains jailed this morning in Iowa, awaiting extradition back to Missouri. He is 36-year-old Mark Achterberg. He was captured earlier this month, Creston, Iowa. He's charged with first-degree murder, the death of Justin Stidham, who was shot to death just north of Columbia back on November the 8th. Columbia Regional Airports manager says the $23 million new terminal project at COU is set to be completed by the summer of 2022. COU's current terminal was built in 1968. Airport manager Michael Park says it doesn't represent us well.
You know, I think about when ball teams fly in. I've seen, when we've had diverted aircraft fly in and people come in, they go, where in the world are we at? We're out in the middle of nowhere and an outdated facility.
Main funding source for the new airport terminal is a hotel tax Columbia voters approved in 2016. You can hear more of the interview with Fred Perry and Michael Parks, 939theeagle.com. And motorists in downtown Jefferson City will notice 2 large Christmas trees being delivered to the governor's mansion this morning. Here in the next hour or so, part of Madison will be closed between 7 and 8 this morning as the trees arrive. Governor Parson is also inviting everyone to attend Friday's candlelight tours and the tree lighting ceremony at the mansion. Friday's events will take place from 6 to 8 p.m. That coincides with the big Living Windows event on Friday evening. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:33. In sports, the Mizzou women's basketball team is now 7-0. They win the Christmas City Classic, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, beating Lehigh 88-67. Lauren Hansen, 34 points on Sunday. Mizzou with 15 three-pointers on Sunday afternoon. The Missouri Tiger football team finishing the regular season 6-6. They fell to Arkansas Friday afternoon, Frank Broyles Field in Fayetteville. Tiger running back Tyler Beatty breaking Mizzou's single-season rushing record, 219 yards rushing, 41 carries on Friday. He had a touchdown as well. Final score there, Arkansas 34 and Mizzou 17. So Mizzou finishes 6-6. They're bowl eligible. They will find out bowl selections. All teams will coming up on Sunday after the championship games coming up on Saturday. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:34. Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com to find a job or to post your job opening today. Roads right now are quiet. If you do want to report a traffic issue, give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Scranton Joe. Working class Joe. You're middle class Joe. You're middle class Joe.
They call me middle class Joe. Middle class Joe, roots in Scranton.
He is Scranton Joe.
Scranton Joe, middle class Joe.
He's Scranton Joe. He's Amtrak Joe.
He was known as Amtrak Joe.
He was called Amtrak Joe for a reason.
Amtrak Joe for his love of traveling by train.
There's Amtrak Joe, as he's known, hopping on the Amtrak.
They called him Amtrak Joe.
There's a bunch of different other names that folks call him. And thank goodness, I do appreciate, I don't like to pat ourselves on the back too often. I'd rather pat Hannah, the producer, on the back, or Brian Hauswirth. Give him a pat on the back. But sure. I will say, I'll give myself a pat on the back since we don't name call on this show. At least.
Are you sure about that?
I am. When was the last time I called somebody an idiot, a moron, a jackass? When was the last time I called any politician, anybody that here on the show, with the exception of myself? Because I will call myself that a lot. But when was the last time you heard me call anybody else a derogatory name?
Probably last Tuesday.
There is Hannah, the producer. Good morning.
Good morning.
That's Mr. Brian Hauswirth.
Good morning, everyone.
Stephanie Pell's here.
Good morning.
My name is Branden Rathert. So what do we call the president right now? Joe Biden. What might we be calling the president in 2024? Some interesting polling. We're going to do this just a few minutes from now. Interesting polling on the Democrat side. Who are Democrats liking? For what polls are worth. I think sometimes they're a fun, quick glimpse into what some people are thinking. We'll have that here in a few minutes on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com, where you can listen live. So this new Omicron variant, Omicron or Omicron, I'm telling you, like, so I and I'm not stupid. I just haven't prepared very well. I've been traveling and going. So, like, seriously, like Wednesday morning or Tuesday night, flying and new variant, and I'm like, okay, this thing's going to blow up, and it's going to be hell and damnation come Monday morning, 6:37 in mid-Missouri. But here, one South African doctor says the symptoms are mild and unusual. Some of the unusual symptoms. I'm like, oh.
Unusual?
Yeah, now you have my attention. Yeah. You want to make me pay attention to this stuff, because I'm guessing like millions of Americans just, I don't know if we're not paying attention anymore, just don't care. Tired of the mask, tired of the mandates. Matter of fact, Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves thought he said something really interesting yesterday regarding mandates on folks. These vaccine mandates and mask mandates and things like that. In my mind, Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves hit it out of the park on this one.
But I actually think those mandates actually are hardening those individuals who are not interested in getting vaccinated. If you go around our state and you talk to those individuals that have not gotten vaccinated, in large measure, a lot of them have gotten the virus, and so they believe they have some natural immunity, and they were thinking about getting vaccinated as they got beyond the 90 days or got beyond the 180 days. But the president's insistence on mandating them have hardened them against them.
I love that. Listen, that was part. So when I got vaccinated, it was a long personal struggle. It's probably one of the more stressful things, really. My big white guy problem this year, seriously, was trying to get my head around this vaccine. Did not want it. Here's what did it for me. I had a friend who spent 2 days in the hospital, $15,000 later in hospital bills. That's what got me. I'm not afraid of dying. I mean, just because I get it doesn't mean I'm going to die. I probably won't. But so far, 2 years into this thing almost, I haven't had it. I have a very good friend who, man, super careful, vaccinated, I'm guessing boosted 3 times, heck, maybe 5 times, still wearing gloves. I'm exaggerating a little bit. But he got it, So anybody can get it. But I'm not afraid of death. I'm just not. But that was part of my decision, is I thought, man, what happens if it comes to a point? So it was the money, and my friend, a healthy, virile guy, super healthy dude, laid on the couch for a month. Dude's probably in better shape than I am. Quit laughing, Brian. That's not saying a lot. And the other thing that really played in my decision is I can be 8 years old sometimes. You tell me to do something, I'm going to do the exact opposites.
It's like when you get told to clean your room. You might have been thinking about it before your parents told you to, and then they tell you, and you're like, nope, not doing it.
I'm not doing it because you told me to, because you made me. That was pretty interesting on Governor Tate Reeves. Pretty interesting on his part, saying, yeah, you making it worse. A lot of parents, as far as we know, Columbia Public Schools, I guess some parents saying they're going to send their kids to school without masks. I don't know what's going to happen at Columbia Public Schools today. Hopefully it's not that big of a deal. And I don't envy parents in that situation. This is on the heels of a court ruling last week from a judge, actually right here in mid-Missouri.
Yeah, Judge Green down in Cole County ruled against the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services, specifically about local health orders, saying they were unconstitutional and basically invalidating one of their rules. And I think really it was on separation of powers grounds, saying, and that's kind of what we heard that legislation earlier this year. It shouldn't be some bureaucrat behind, sitting in an office cubicle making these decisions. These are legislative style decisions, and they should be made by elected officials. So I know there were some separation of powers issues and some other things on just process for the rules, but he basically said all these local COVID health restrictions are void. And so especially people who have, really borne the brunt of those, people in St. Louis County were, celebrating.
I saw some of the celebrations. Meanwhile, and I guess this was kind of last week, a lot of folks having a truncated week last week. You had almost 30,000 college students that leave town, folks taking off work early, a lot of folks with Mizzou. But I guess but I better get this right when it comes to Eric Schmidt. I'm trying to place the right peg into that square hole with the people running for different offices. Attorney General Eric Schmidt going after the Moberly School District.
Yeah, and I think that deals with the recording issues that we've talked about. And there's a lot of different suits, but yes, that suit is out there right now. He also still has the suit, Branden and Stephanie, that deals with the mask itself about CPS, the lawsuit that was filed back in August. That is still out there right now. Keep in mind, Judge Jacobs did not allow a class action suit, but that is still out there, and we had him on not too long ago. I remember asking him, Branden, he said that case is still out there. The only other thing I would point out, we'll watch closely on Wednesday, Branden, Stephanie, because the legislature session, we're about a little over a month away, but pre-filing of bills will start on Wednesday. And certainly COVID will come up. I know education, Chuck Basie's made it clear to you he's going to talk about CRT, lots of other issues. But we'll watch Wednesday at the Capitol to see if there are any bills that particularly deal with the issue that we're talking about masks. It's fair. There very well could be. We don't know yet.
So how excited, Brian, are you for Wednesday? Seeing the legislature work every year, is it kind of like a first day of school, or is that really like, do you wait for the first day of session? But it kind of like is the first start of the next session.
It really is. And in a lot of that, most of those bills, as you know, Stephanie, are filed either by the staff members or electronically. But it gives you topics to talk about. It gives you news topics and stuff. But to be fair and to clear on both sides, very few of the bills filed of either party on that first day will pass. Very few. A couple thousand bills end up being proposed, and maybe 100 will pass. Now, some of those, it's a little misleading. Some of those will get tacked on to other bills and omnibus bills towards the end, but still, a lot of them won't even get hearings. But they're still filed and certainly worth reporting.
Quick traffic note off the text, 874-9390. Traffic slowdown by Martin Road, just north of Ashland. On northbound 63, a car hit a deer. The car is pulled over on the left-hand side of the road. The deer is not. Traffic slowdown, Martin Road, just north of Ashland, northbound 63, just north of Ashland. Be careful in that area. And, of course, if you're seeing something, let us know, 874-9390. All right, let's go. Let's do some pole dancing. Democrats. 2024. Joe Biden, by the way, the language here is crafty. His intent is to run for president.
That's for legal reasons.
Yeah, it's intent. By the way, I got my tail kicked on that in Idaho in 2007.
Really?
Not using the word intent, saying Governor Butch Otter is going to run for re-election as opposed to Governor Butch Otter said he intends.
And the reason for that is once you announce your candidacy, you trigger all sorts of FEC requirements and other things. So the candidates really want to wait to officially announce any sort of candidacy.
So who are Democrats like? I mean, there's a lot of names out there. You got Pete Buttigieg. You've got the usual suspects, but nobody, I think, that generates any excitement or anything. Because you have Sanders and Warren, and we kind of been there. Done that. I mean, who else are people? Democrats, not who the talking heads are talking about. Who are Democrats talking about?
Well, I mean, they're looking at Kamala. I don't know if they're excited about that, right?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, there was some polling was recently done. Here are the top choices. And by the way, this was a poll done on Democrats. Who would you like to see run in 2024? Vice President Kamala Harris, top choice. Number 2 on the list, I was like, what? And then I was like, oh, did you kind of have that same reaction?
Yeah, I think I could see this. So it's Michelle Obama.
She was number 2.
I can see that.
The list coming up. You're an open of the day. Dumb people in the news doing dumb things. We'll do that just before 7 on 98.3, The Eagle. Good morning, I am Branden Rathert for Salter Lawn Service. Salter, one call does it all. Right now, probably the thing you want to do, think about this. There's a lot of folks, they do like doing their own yard work, like removing their own snow in the winter. Maybe you've got a snowblower. Heck, maybe you're all fancy like it and you got a little plow on the front of your riding lawnmower. Salter Lawn Service can do that stuff for you. They can attach that stuff. They can do the maintenance on anything. Maybe you have a snowblower. When's the last time you got all the workings oiled, things like that? They do all that stuff. Really, anything that has a small engine, they work on it at Salter. That's why we say Salter, one call does it all. From lawn maintenance and landscaping to engine repair and just routine maintenance. I know a lot of folks enjoy the yard work and stuff, but don't like doing the maintenance on some of this stuff. That's why you call Salter. Salter, one call does it all.
Thanks for making Wake Up Columbia your favorite morning show. 93.9 The Eagle.
Hey everybody, McConaughey here. Listen, over the past 2 years, I've been working on the answer to the question of how I can be most useful in this life going forward.
Matthew McConaughey put out a video saying he's not running for governor of Texas. A couple of things. Number one, that's how you know when it's a slow news day, because that's one of the stories Fox News is covering for you at 7 o'clock this morning. Matthew McConaughey. As for anybody that's mildly interested in politics or mildly interested in entertainment, the entertainment industry, Matthew McConaughey had been toying with the idea of running for governor in Texas, a position currently held by Greg Abbott. And right away, and I don't know what his politics are. Is he kind of one of those far left, or is he kind of like moderate, meeting both sides in the middle?
I thought he was like into Scientology and stuff. That's how I view like all celebrities. I don't really know where his politics are.
Scientology, I think that's one of his things, and weed. We know he's big on the weed because him and Woody Harrelson got busted together banging bongos somewhere outside of a Dallas restaurant one time, both stoned out of their mind, like high school high. These two guys were playing the bongos nude together. The other reason I might have hesitations in supporting somebody like a Matthew McConaughey.
Hey everybody, McConaughey here.
So 2 things. Number one, have you ever legitimately known somebody that refers to themselves in the third person? And he's on video, so you don't really need to introduce yourself. He's on video. Hey, everybody, McConaughey here. So you refer to yourself in the third person, and you're using your last name as, hey, it's Matt. Hey, it's Matthew. That'd be like saying, hey, it's Belle here. Welcome to the show.
What about Trump? I can see, like, didn't Trump talk about himself in the third person, I'm pretty sure.
Trump has I don't know. The only thing that I can think of, I don't know that I've ever legitimately known anybody that speaks in third person. The only thing that I think of, there's an old Seinfeld episode where Elaine had...
great. You have a Seinfeld episode for everything.
Welcome into the show. Something we can do for you. 874-9390, 874-9390. Doug sends us a text message. Traffic slowdown by Martin Road just north of Ashland. This on northbound 63. Apparently a car hit a deer. And by the way, did everybody have a good deer hunting season? Saw the pictures all over Facebook. Little kids bagging the deers and stuff like that. And we got a lot of videos in support of Stephanie's comments that triggered somebody regarding deer is dumb. This guy trying to encourage a deer to go run across the highway, and the deer won't. Trying to encourage the deer to go back away from the highway, and the deer won't do it. Deer runs in front of traffic. And
yep.
There's some of your proof. Hey, so this new variant emerging out of South Africa.
Variant?
Variant of the virus. It's a combination of words. I don't know if you guys have seen it on the social media yet, but yeah, it's called a variant. It's when you take two different words and combine them.
It kind of feels like we're in hurricane season because we just like keep going down the line naming these things.
And I'm not upset that they skipped over the name G. Apparently, they've always had in place, listen, this is what we don't do. We don't name it after people and after names. They've always had that. There's other things to be bothered about this morning, I think.
Possibly.
Yeah. Does it bother you? Is it taking up space in your head this morning?
I mean, I don't think it makes sense why we skipped that, really, if we're just using the Greek alphabet. I think more, like, in my mind is what happens when we get to the end? Are we when we're done with the Greek alphabet, what are we going to next?
We recycle just like with hurricane names, don't we? Do we go back and start at the beginning?
But that's just the first letter. The Greek alphabet, like, you don't, it's just over. Yeah. I think we should go like animals or like something weird. We should do like letters, but like pick something cool.
Well, I think we should quit naming hurricanes, by the way. Which is pretty awesome.
How did we get here?
Unless your name is Hannah and you got one kick-ass storm coming your way along the Gulf Coast and it's named Hannah, then you don't mind.
I think there's been a couple Hurricane Hannahs like in my lifetime.
Well, the problem, I think one of the big issues with naming hurricanes, I lived in Pensacola, Florida, and we had Ida to deal with. And, like, nobody was freaking out. Like, you got to try.
Because Ida sounds like a grandma.
Exactly. Like, if you're going to give it names, give it Hurricane Voltar or something. People will pay attention to that.
Hurricane, like Optimus Prime, or like what?
Something, because people don't pay attention. Hurricane Ida is coming. Oh, I'm not prepping for that. So coming up, Fox News. So that's how you know it's almost December. Slow News Day. Fox covering the guy who says he won't run for governor in Texas. And then whatever it is they're figuring out about this new variant this morning based out of South Africa. And it was interesting. Joe Biden immediately, a travel ban, and the media pounced on Joe Biden for this. He said, we're banning travel from South Africa. They were on him. This is xenophobic. This is racist. And people are criticizing Joe Biden. He doesn't want Brown or that didn't happen. The previous president did that. Oh. One of my interns just informing us that no, that did not happen. It did, however, when the previous president did it. That's exactly what happened.
It's time for the Doment of the Day with Branden Rathert on 93.9 The Eagle.
Here's your Doment of the Day. Dumb people in the news doing dumb things. You recognize the name Julia Horowitz? She's a reporter from CNN. And listen, I get it sometimes. You know, you can blame the president for this. Well, the president's not responsible for gas prices in the stock market. Listen, the guy in charge, whoever the big guy is, yes, they will always take the blame and they will always take the credit. CNN's Julia Horowitz even tried to back Joe Biden on November 9th, saying, hey, back off. Joe Biden can't do much to ease gas prices. That was in a tweet. Joe Biden can't do anything. Then 10 days later, oil prices are finally falling. Thanks, Joe Biden.
It's reached more countries. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The Omicron COVID variants now detected from Canada to Portugal to Australia after surging in southern Africa.
This does seem to be spreading quite rapidly, so the inference would be there that it's particularly contagious.
But is the variant worse than others? Director of the National Institutes of Health, Dr. Francis Collins, tells Fox News Sunday.
We don't know about its severity. Trying to collect that data as quickly as possible.
The U.S. is joining many other countries with new travel restrictions. Fox's Evan Brown has more live.
Dave, starting today, travel between the U.S. and South Africa and 7 other nations on the southern part of that continent is not allowed for foreign nationals. U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residents can still travel, though they must test negative for COVID. Health officials in the U.S. say that so far they have not detected Omicron variant COVID in the nation, but warn it is likely here and will spread. Canada has already confirmed cases, Dave.
Oh, Evan, the president is urging Americans again to get COVID vaccine shots. 80% of those 8, 12, 18 and older have gotten at least one dose, almost 100% of those 65 and older. Iran nuclear talks back on today involving the country still signed on to the agreement the U.S. pulled out of in 2018, but the Biden administration is involved indirectly in these talks, wanting to rejoin the deal that Iran's been violating.
There had been talks earlier this year, but they were broken off in June so Iran could hold new elections. They brought in an even tougher government with tougher demands. Iran wants all U.S. and international sanctions dropped before they even start to talk. That is a non-starter, according to experts.
Fox's Greg Palcott. It's Cyber Monday. A lot of Americans will be shopping while working. Adobe forecasts more than $11 billion in sales, which would be more than Black Friday, when online buying was under $9 billion. America's listening to Fox News.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
I did the score. 93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. Good morning, everyone. It is 7:03. We're expecting a high today of around 64 degrees. Going to be another beautiful day in mid-Missouri. Clear skies tonight with the overnight low around 38. And the outlook for tomorrow, partly cloudy with a high of 54. And Wednesday, sunshine and a high of 61 degrees. Good morning, everyone. Residents continue to raise money for a Missouri prisoner who was released from prison after a judge's ruling last week.
More than $1.4 million had been raised as of Saturday for a man who spent 43 years behind bars before a Missouri judge overturned his conviction in a triple killing. Midwest Innocence Project set up the GoFundMe page as they fought for Kevin Strickland's release, noting he wouldn't receive compensation from Missouri and would need help to pay for his basic living expenses. John Marsh, 93.9 The Eagle.
All right, John, thank you so much. And Kevin Strickland also helped light the mayor's Christmas tree that was Friday night at the Crown Center in Kansas City. Meantime, an arraignment date has not been set yet for an accused Boone County murder. 36-year-old Mark Achterberg is charged with first-degree murder and armed criminal action for the November 8th death of Justin Stidham. He was shot to death at a home on North Kent Drive, that is just north of Columbia. Achterberg has been captured by authorities in the state of Iowa, Creston specifically. Boone County Sheriff's Captain Brian Lear tells 93.9 The Eagle that Boone County deputies are waiting for Achterberg's extradition hearing in Iowa. It's been delayed. The suspect remains jailed without bond this morning. Staffing shortages and COVID are to blame for the decision to close the Jefferson City Animal Shelter to the public this week. That starts this morning. City officials say the shelter lacks the staff needed to remain open to the public. Columbia police say 2 juveniles have been detained for that Thanksgiving morning shooting near Old 63, a shooting that left another juvenile with life-threatening injuries. Columbia police say the victim has been taken to a local hospital. 2 juvenile suspects are in the custody of the juvenile authorities in Boone County. The authorities say it is not a random act of violence. United Airlines' decision recently to indefinitely suspend flights at Columbia Regional involves pilot and staffing shortages. That's according to COU's manager. Michael Parks tells 93.9 The Eagle CEO Roundtable the decision is not permanent. He adds COU has a great relationship with United.
United will be back. It's all about timing and getting things right with their business. But they had to make that decision, and unfortunately, we were one on that list.
United will suspend flights at Columbia Regional in January. Parks says their last flight will be January 3rd. That is a Monday. COU is one of 8 airports impacted impacted by United's indefinite suspension. You'll have an opportunity this week to sign your name on the final beam of the new terminal being built at COU, Columbia Regional Airport. A beam signing and topping off ceremony set for Thursday afternoon at 1:30. Columbia City Manager John Glasscock says the ceremony will allow you to be part of Columbia's history. You'll be able to sign your name Thursday on the beam. It'll be forever a part of the new COU terminal. Columbia Mayor Brian Treese and Jefferson City Mayor Carrie Turgeon will be speaking at the ceremony. And part of Madison Street in downtown Jefferson City is closed this morning as the 2021 Missouri Governor's Mansion Christmas trees arrive. They should be arriving any moment now, sometime between now and 8. Governor Parson says a 30-foot Norway spruce donated by Steve and Carla Lively of Columbia will be displayed on the mansion lawn. The mansion's interior tree is a 20-foot Norway spruce supplied by Herman's Pea Ridge Forest. Carla Lively is Zimmer Radio's manager here at the station. She and her husband donated the tree because it had grown too large for their front yard. The Missouri Department of Conservation Office Administration on hand right now. They're waiting for those trees to arrive. They'll install them. And don't forget the annual tree lighting ceremony and candlelight tours will take place Friday evening, 6 to 8 at the Governor's Mansion. One other quick note, don't forget the Winter Wonderland will be unveiled at Shelter Gardens here in Columbia. That will take place on Thursday. They're still working on some of the details on that. Don't have an exact time, but they'll light the Christmas tree and the Winter Wonderland will be unveiled this Thursday in Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you this morning by the Candy Factory. The perfect gifts for your employees and customers this holiday season. Anniversaries, birthdays, any day. The Candy Factory on Cherry Street in downtown Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle News time, 7:07. In sports, former Chief star lineman Curly Culp has passed away at the age of 75. The Kansas City Star is reporting he had been battling pancreatic cancer. He was a key player on Hank's Rams team that won Super Bowl IV. Their opponent that year was the Minnesota Vikings. Missouri Tiger football team finishing the regular year 6-6. They fell to Arkansas Friday afternoon, 34-17, Frank Broyles Field at Razorback Stadium. Tiger running back Tyler Beatty breaking Mizzou's single-season rushing record, 219 yards on the ground, 41 carries, a touchdown. He breaks the record held by Devin West, who is from Moberly. That West record was set back in 1998. And the Mizzou women's basketball team is now 7-0. They won the Christmas City Classic, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. They beat Lehigh 88-67. Mizzou with 15 three-pointers on Sunday. Lauren Hansen, 34 points as well. Our sports is brought to you this hour by Witt Print Shop, where your printed products are so much more than ink and paper. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:08. All right, John, thank you so much. We appreciate you filling in today for Kevin. As always, our weather is brought to you this hour by Woods Basement Systems, 37 degrees.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
And our traffic check is with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com to find a job. Post your job opening today. A couple of quick notes. Branden told you earlier, maybe a half hour ago, about a car hitting a deer near Martin Road, Ashland area. And then we also had a report in the same general area of a car possibly hitting a deer on Highway 63. Different callers. Not sure if that's the same accident or close to it, but I just got off the phone with Joint Communications. Whether that was one or two, they have both been cleared. Again, in the Ashland area, car hitting a deer. Again, that accident or two, we're not sure yet. That has been cleared according to Joint Communications. If you want to report a traffic issue, call or text us 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Some may think that Dr. Fauci is the trusted expert on coronavirus, but anyone paying attention can tell that this guy has no idea what's going on. For over a year, he contradicted himself with dramatic demands, from no one should wear a mask to everyone should wear a mask. Then everyone should wear 2 masks.
All right, we get it. Rand Paul and Dr. Fauci, not fans of each other. We're all on the same. We all are in agreement there, right?
Right.
They've clashed several times. Yes, certainly.
So listen, after learning of this new Omicron variant.
Omicron
variant. Sorry, I've been out of the loop. Listen, when I check out and go, I wasn't on vacation. I was celebrating Thanksgiving. That's not a vacation, by the way. It's two different.
Did you cook anything?
No.
That's a good one, Steph.
That's a big difference. People say, oh, you went on vacation. No, I didn't go on vacation. I went and celebrated Thanksgiving. 2 very different things. So this
Omicron.
New variant comes out. But I completely check out of the news cycle. But I knew this was going on. But here's what I envisioned when I heard about this new variant coming out of South Africa. Joe Biden, what a racist, xenophobic president he's turned out to be, banning people from South Africa and other nations in Africa. Guess who mostly lives in those nations? Yeah, people from Africa. Horrible. Can't believe it. It's so xenophobic.
Remember earlier this morning when you said you don't name call on this show?
Did I mess up?
Whoops.
But here's what I envision when we're learning of this new variant coming out. And I love CNN. I saved the headline for proof. CNN had a headline over the weekend. Don't panic just yet. It's coming. As a matter of fact, I envisioned Anthony Fauci. Like, you ever seen somebody getting the kids ready for a big old camping trip with a group of friends? Like, it takes a while. Like, you're loading stuff up and you've got your backpack and all this. I imagine that's like Dr. Fauci leaving the house over the, hey, honey, I'm going. We got a new variant. We're getting the team back together.
I'm just proud that you finally learned to take screenshots of headlines because you've been burned before. You found a news story with an interesting headline. You didn't take a screenshot and it either got deleted or changed, and then you couldn't prove what you were saying. So I'm proud of you for evolving and learning how to take a screenshot. Welcome to modern age.
I'm reimagining my whole thought process on some of this stuff. So Fauci, and of course he's already at event. Check him out.
Prepare for the worst.
It was yesterday, and I'm not taking that too much out of context.
It makes me think of the movie Chicken Little. The sky is falling.
Prepare for the worst.
The sky is falling.
As a matter of fact, to Hannah's point,
as I've said so often,
the sky is falling. I bet Dr. Fauci, besides getting ready for this big old camping trip that's the latest variant, I'm betting like he wishes he could walk into a room and there'd be like some kind of dramatic music whenever. Sorry. Are you done?
I'm done.
All
Sorry.
right.
I was dying.
Hey, don't be salty because she had to cough.
I'm not being salty. I just said, are you done? Very
it could
politely.
be the Omicron.
I know, right? I hope I get it at this point. Jeez.
No, you don't. No,
I do. I don't really. My biggest concern, I don't care if I die. I'm comfortable with death. I've done everything I've ever wanted to do, and I've done some things that I didn't want to do, but I've lived to apologize for those things. I'm not afraid of it. I just want to get it over with. But I wasn't salty. Was I salty to you? I said, are you done?
Are you done?
I'm finished.
See, that's not how it went down, Hannah. But I would bet that Dr. Fauci wishes, like, every time he makes statements like this where he's telling people,
prepare for the worst.
Thinking like the only thing if he walked into a room and
prepare for the worst.
He probably wishes he had some dramatic stinger music.
Prepare for the worst.
To enhance what he's saying to scare people.
He just hates holidays. Literally, every time we have a holiday, it's something new, right? And it's like, 4th of July, you might be able to go to an outside barbecue if you only cook pork steak and, stand upside down. I'm
not worried about this. As a matter of fact, so that's our doctor, Fauci. He's saying prepare.
He's our doctor. He's not my doctor. We should get that on a sweatshirt. Not my doctor.
Prepare for the worst.
That's Fauci. Dr. Angelique Coetzee. She is chairwoman of the South African Medical Association. Here's her take on it.
Looking at the mildness of the symptoms that we are seeing, currently there's no reason for panicking.
There's no reason for panicking. She's saying, and by the way, there's another account that says, matter of fact, the headline on this story from one of the news outlets was unusual symptoms, but mild at this point.
What are the unusual symptoms?
So that's what I'm checking out. So the unusual symptoms, according to these doctors in Africa, it presents mild disease with symptoms being sore muscles and tiredness for a day or two and not feeling well.
That's really, I thought that was part of it.
That's it.
I mean, like people who've had COVID had all sorts of really weird, I would say the symptoms are weird anyway. Loss of taste and smell is weird.
COVID toe?
Right.
Prepare for the worst.
Prepare for the worst. That's their doctor. Our doctor, actually. Our doctor. Their doctor. Help me out with this. Their doctor, Angelique Coetzee. She's like,
Currently, there's no reason for panicking.
So her take is more, there's no reason for panicking. She's more like this.
Don't worry, be happy.
Isn't that a big contrast? I'm not worried about it. I don't think you should be either. But I ain't a doctor. Welcome to the show, Stephanie Bell. How was your big holiday?
It was wonderful.
Yeah, any big highlights?
Well, I went to Nashville. My sister lives there. And so I haven't been there in quite a long time. So did some shopping, saw some live music, all the good things. Ate some really good food.
Very cool. Brian Hauswirth joining us. So we have folks that have been asking, hey, what about in light of this judge's decision? And this probably is, because I don't know if this came down Tuesday or Wednesday.
It would have been late Tuesday.
Late Tuesday.
Yeah.
So a lot of folks over a weekend like that get out of the loop. But a judge issuing a decision Wednesday, and I don't know if
this gets back, and again, not saying the judge doesn't work by guidelines like that, but I always say that when it comes to state government, we always expect a news dump on Wednesday before Thanksgiving because people are going out of town. In this case, the ruling came down Tuesday. Obviously, judges work on their own schedule. I'm not a lawyer. It is a little confusing, quite frankly. Mike Ferguson was asking me about it, but we'll see what kind of an impact. And also, you were asking about the potential impact on CPS. CPS's next board meeting is December the 13th, so we'll see. But yes, that came down on Tuesday, and but I'm glad you and Stephanie are back. I hope you both had a good Thanksgiving.
And to be clear, we are back, but we're not gone together.
That's right. Exactly.
Because that's what I heard when you said, I'm glad you guys are back. We were, yeah.
Sure.
Where were you?
I went to Idaho to go see the grandkids. Mm-hmm. Man, you know what sucks is coming back on that last flight from Dallas on a Sunday after a long weekend with the grandkids. But you know what's great is to be able to sit here and hang out with y'all on 93.9 The Eagle. There's Hannah, the producer. How did your extended weekend go?
It was good. I only had to go to a couple Thanksgivings, which is unusual for me. So it's kind of nice to have a low-key, laid-back, long holiday weekend.
Very cool. Anybody shopping today? Done shopping already? Stephanie, Stephanie, here's what I envision about her. She's done. But every day, oh, yeah, I got to get that. Oh, yeah, I got to get that. Oh, yeah, Hannah's graduating in just a couple weeks. We got to do something for her. Oh, yeah, Brian Hauswirth has a birthday coming up on November 30th. We got to do something for his birthday.
I am not done. I was trying to get some shopping done this weekend. I have a spreadsheet. I am working on it. I told Hannah I'm starting to get nervous, though, because I did order some stuff now probably 10 days ago. So I was expecting to come home with like a porch full of boxes. Nothing.
Wow.
And so I'm like, ooh, if I'm worried about the stuff I order this week, whether it's going to get here in time.
Now, Brandon, have you double-checked to make sure you have decent wrapping paper for the Christmas season?
I'm not buying anybody anything. I might.
Because
that is so rude.
Well, That's maybe better than giving somebody a gift wrapped in moldy Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle wrapping paper.
Which has happened, but it's the gift, right? It's the gift that counts. I might have to buy my little Harper. My little granddaughter's 4 years old. She's the Twinkie girl. And I say Twinkie because she flipped out about Twinkies a couple of years ago. Our pet hamster died while we were there.
Oh, no.
And she's 4. So, and you know, kids say the darndest things sometimes, and kids have a different understanding of things. And I'm trying to, and as it turns out, so I'm at home watching the kids. Mom and Dad are getting some alone time because they don't get that whole lot.
So
it's on Grandpa Branden.
You killed the hamster? Did you feed it something weird?
No, I didn't.
Are you sure?
Now, was this like her first experience with death?
I think so, based on her reaction.
Oh, that's so hard.
So I'm trying to, and she knows because like she's poking and everything, and I'm like, I can't even laugh.
Aw, poor
like,
Harper.
And she picks it up by the tail
Aw.
and like drops. It won't. Look, Grandpa won't play with me.
Well, it's kind of like, Branden, when your computer isn't working. That's about what you do.
Did you have a hamster funeral?
Well, so here's what we did.
It's too big to flush, right?
So, should I move this to 7:30? Because this is something anybody who has had to deal with, and you might deal with this one day, Steph, trying to deal with a child and the premise of explaining death, what death is. That's a challenge, especially on Thanksgiving when you're grandpa. Maybe we'll get in that 7:35 because we got to do What's Hot with Hannah. What's Hot with Hannah this morning?
Well, I might have started some beef here in the office with another sister station of ours. But there's a funny Amazon review up on the Facebook page.
Funny. There since about, 48,000 miles ago. Yeah, put 48,000 miles on that in the past roughly 5 years. And I'll tell you, with the mileage it has now, the thing runs awesome. And I implicitly trust Gap's Automotive Repair Shop. That's not to say that I don't trust other folks, but if you're somebody who doesn't know a whole lot about vehicles, you just want to feel comfortable with who it is you're doing business with, especially something that's getting you from point A to point B and then C and then back again several times a day. Gap's Automotive Repair Shop, small, locally owned. Automotive Repair Shop. Check them out. They're on Vandiver in Columbia and in Boonville.
93.9 The Eagle. Watch the show on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page.
Prepare for the worst.
Man, sounds awfully dark and dire. I'm guessing Dr. Fauci awfully excited about this new variant, which a couple of doctors in South Africa saying it's the symptoms are unusual but mild. Right now, 7:25-ish, which means it's
7:28.
time for What's Hot with Hannah.
Man, you get worse and worse all the time. So I've posted a funny screenshot of an Amazon review that a lady wrote about some leggings that she purchased. She's a big fan of the leggings, gave them a 5-star review, and she says you need to order them now.
Okay.
And she posts 2 pictures of herself rolling and sliding down the side of a mountain. And she says she will be reordering them in every color. She says, here is me rolling and sliding down a mountain because I was too scared to stand up. My leggings did not rip even a little bit, and I got stuck on rocks and trees.
I love this.
And she posted pictures of herself in this precarious situation.
Rolling down the side of a mountain?
Pretty much. But I posted this on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page.
Yeah.
And then our friend Shags from our sister station popped into the studio and was not very happy with me because apparently they posted this like 3 weeks ago. So I've been accused of stealing their content, and he's a little salty.
Anybody saying anything interesting about the post?
Well, he commented on the post and said that we stole his content. So
Well, we appreciate him listening and paying attention to the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page. Coming up, Fox News is here. So what are they figuring out this morning about this new variant? Plus, who's not running for governor in Texas? Spoiler alert, Matthew McConaughey. Then Brian Hauswirth is here. He's going to be checking in. Then coming up, 7:35. How do you deal with trying to tell a 4-year-old about death? That'll be fun. 7:35 will do that for you here.
News. I'm Chris Foster. Chief White House Medical Advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci says it'll take about 2 weeks to tell if a new coronavirus variant named Omicron is more dangerous or resistant to vaccines.
It's really too early to say. We just really need to, as I've said so often, prepare for the worst.
Dr. Fauci on ABC's This Week. A U.S. travel ban on 8 African countries is in effect. The variant's popping up in other countries, though, as well. There are no confirmed cases yet here. Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's former girlfriend, goes on trial for sex trafficking today in New York.
Maxwell is accused of being Epstein's madam, recruiting and grooming minors as young as 14 years old for Epstein to abuse. Prosecutors say Maxwell would befriend these girls before handing them over for Epstein to abuse in any one of his mansions. In some cases, Maxwell allegedly took part in that abuse herself.
Fox's Brian Yennis. America's listening to Fox News.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 7:31, 37 right now. In Columbia, it's 36 degrees. In Jefferson City, winds are calm. Our sunrise this morning, 7:06. It will set at 4:49 this evening. Good morning, everyone. Here's some of the stories we are working on for you at this hour. Motorists in downtown Jefferson City should be seeing any moment now 2 large Christmas trees being delivered to the governor's mansion. Part of Madison is closed at least until 8 this morning as the trees arrive. Missouri's Governor Mike Parson also inviting everyone to attend Friday's candlelight tours and the tree lighting ceremony at the mansion. That will take place during the Living Windows event on Friday. We'll talk more about that during the week, about the crowds are expecting, etc. Friday's events are from 6 until 8. The Christmas tree that will be on the outside of the mansion is a 30-foot Norway spruce. It has been donated by Carl Carla Leibley, who is the general manager here at Zimmer Radio. Meantime, citing staffing shortages and the issue of COVID, the Jefferson City Animal Shelter is closed to the public starting this week, and it starts this morning. Jefferson City Police tell us the shelter lacks staff needed to remain open to the public. All adoptions and redemptions are by appointment only until further notice. Columbia Regional Airport's manager says the $23 million new terminal project at COU is expected to be done by the summer of 2022. COU's current terminal was built in 1968. Airport manager Michael Park says it doesn't represent us well.
I think about when ball teams fly in. I've seen, when we've had diverted aircraft fly in and people come in, they go, where in the world are we at? We're out in the middle of nowhere and an outdated facility.
Main funding source for the new airport terminal is a hotel tax. Columbia voters approved it in 2016. And you're being invited to Thursday afternoon's beam signing and topping off ceremony at COU. The beam signing at 1:30, 2 p.m. topping off ceremony. It's all part of the $23 million new terminal being built at COU. Again, that is on Thursday. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you this hour by Dr. Kent Willett Dental Associates. Dr. Willett Dental Associates. Make an appointment now, 573-445-5300, WillettDentalAssociates.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:33. In sports, the Missouri Tigers falling to number 25 Arkansas Friday afternoon on CBS. National game on the SEC on CBS, and they lose 34-16. So Mizzou finishes the regular year 6-6. Tyler Beatty breaks Devin West's Mizzou single-season rushing record on Friday, 219 yards on 41 carries on Friday. He had a touchdown as well. The bowl announcements will be coming out on Sunday. This is Championship Saturday coming up this Saturday in college football. Few games on Friday as well. Mizzou women's basketball team wins the Christmas City Classic, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. They beat Lehigh 88-67. Mizzou with 15 three-pointers on Sunday. Lauren Hansen, 34 points. 93.9 The Eagle Sports is brought to you this hour by Wendy Sprouse Agency. She is the Medicare nerd. WendySprouseAgency.com. Our news time, 7:34.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com to find a job or post your job opening today. We had a car that hit a deer in the Ashland area, perhaps two cars hitting deers. We're still not 100% sure based on our discussions with Joint Communications, but regardless, the accidents in the Ashland area or accident have been cleared this morning. No other problems to report. If you do want to report a traffic issue, call or text us 573-874-9390. We'll have more team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
We're the party of having the cops back. I'm all for judicial reform. I'm all for police reform, but I'm not for letting this guy out of jail when he should have been in jail years ago.
Lindsey Graham talking about the dude up in Wisconsin who ran through that parade and killed those people. Sometimes I wonder, we wonder about how a lot of these national news outlets portray a lot of these stories. We know the lies and the fact checks, the numerous fact checks that specifically the trial in Wisconsin, in Kenosha, Wisconsin. We know how many news organizations were fact-checked on a lot of those false claims that they're putting out there as fact. This is a thing, and see, here's why this scares me. You have so many people that watch, the three regular broadcast over the air TV affiliates, ABC, CBS, NBC. No knock on our local affiliates, but I'm talking about the national news. People watch that. People watch CNN. People watch MSNBC, and there are so many lies. And we saw that recently. We saw the lies coming out left and right. But people watch it. They don't pay attention. We hear NBA players. We heard the player during an interview on court just last week on the court saying, yeah, and Kyle Rittenhouse killed those two black guys, got away with it. He didn't kill any black guys. But people hear it, and they believe it, and they take it as fact. So I'm thinking over the weekend as I continue, because, in airports, usually they show that Sky America CNN thing. And they kept talking when this guy... the updates on this story, the guy that rammed his car through the parade, the car that went through the parade, the car that hit all these people. And I'm thinking, was this like a Tesla autonomous self-driving vehicle? Because that's the way they're describing it. It was the car that did this. And I'm watching this airport, and I'm sitting, and I'm looking around, and I made the mistake of assuming everybody else was as smart as I was. And I'm sitting around, and I'm looking at the TV going, the car hit and killed these people. The car rammed into the parade and veered and hit more. The car didn't do that unless it was one of those autonomous Tesla vehicles.
Yeah, cars don't kill people.
People kill people.
Right.
My goodness. But they just want to soften it. And I don't understand why the kid glove coverage on this guy. Is it because he's black or at least a person who's brown? They don't care. And they despise that term, a person of color. Brian, you're of color. It's the lightest of all four of us here in the studio. But you're still of color, right? You have color? Even he's not. Well, Branden, I don't know. Welcome into the show. Wake Up Columbia. Brian Hauswirth is here.
Good morning. It's great to have you.
By the way, great weekend. I watched more football on Thursday and Friday than I've watched all year because I haven't watched a whole lot of it. Incidentally, did anybody watch the Dallas Las Vegas Raiders football game?
I saw some bits and pieces on that. There looked like a little, like an incident, like a fight.
Nah, folks, guys, it's the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, it was a lot of,
Well, the reason I bring it up, apparently preliminary numbers, most watched NFL game in some years, almost, I want to say, and I might have this wrong, somebody could check it, but almost like 40 million people watching the Thanksgiving Day game between the Dallas Cowboys and the Las Vegas Raiders. There is Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
That's Hannah, the producer.
What up?
Coming up, we're here the moment we help somebody make one of their Christmas wishes come true with Culligan Water. This is something you can get in on by going to our website, 939theeagle.com. We have a whole bunch of folks helping us out this year with this. And it's just, we're going to do the food drive, and we do all these other things, but we also would like to help, with your help some individual families. Log on to our website, 939 The Eagle, and the holiday wish with Culligan Water and people like Hodges Roofing and Siding, Missouri Vein Care, and D. Rose Restaurant in Columbia, helping to make this happen over the weekend. So apparently a lot of folks, and I hope this goes okay. Now, we're back in town. Columbia Public School District still has the mask mandate. But this judge's ruling, and let's try to be, and I get the confusion. I'm not faulting anybody. It came out kind of late Tuesday, and then you have the Wednesday where a lot of us, we've checked out. We might show up to work on a Wednesday, but we're checked out mentally. So this judge in Cole County coming out with a ruling, it sounds like it mostly pertains based on correspondence between a parent and somebody from the Columbia Public School District. Because parents had asked, hey, is this going to affect the policy, Columbia Public Schools? Basically, the response from this official within the Columbia Public School District to the parent was, no, it doesn't affect us at all. And I think this ruling may have given a lot of people hope. Maybe a lot of people, but just not around here. And in effect, the judge said some of these health orders that were in effect were unconstitutional.
Yes. So there were some rules promulgated by DHSS that allowed some of these bureaucrats to implement some of these health orders. He said, there was lots of issues raised about separation of powers and some other constitutional issues. And he said, yep, basically all these local health orders violate the Constitution and are invalid and void. Now, but that was as against DHSS and the ability of local, I guess, county, city officials to implement the health orders. If schools were implementing certain health restrictions based on a county or city health order, then I think the school would then want to reconsider. But if a school had independently said you have to wear a mask outside of any county or local health order, then I don't think this judgment reaches those decisions.
So apparently some parents, and I don't know how that'll work out. If you're dropping your kids off at school in Columbia, I know that there's been chatter on social media, some parents saying, yeah, we're not gonna make our kids wear a mask to school. And that's great. And I hope, kid believes in it, whatever. I think that's it's cool. I don't know what's going to happen. But then see, and I get that. Well, don't wear a mask. That's like people say, well, when you go to the airport and when you fly, don't wear a mask. Show them. Yeah, I would rather see my grandkids than try to make some kind of point. Does that make sense?
Yeah, then get
banned
from
banned.
an airline.
I'm not. I want to go see my grandkids. I'll wear a mask.
Well, and if a parent is deciding for their child that their child is not going to wear a mask, unfortunately, the kid is going to get the backlash of that first at school before the parent will. So I don't know if that's entirely fair to your kid.
Well, and that's what I wonder, like at what age, if your kid is 12, you say, hey, it's up to you. If your kid is 5, I would more trust a 12-year-old school kid to make a decision like that than I would probably a 16 or 17-year-old kid to be making any serious decisions.
Yeah, and I think part of this is we're learning so much more. And like you said, Branden, when this first started, there were so many unknowns. And I think part of the frustration from parents is that these school districts and local health authorities were so quick to act in the beginning. Immediately things were closed. Immediately there were all these restrictions in place. Immediately you needed to wear a mask. And, immediately I had no childcare, no school, all of these things. And they acted so quickly. And now as we're learning more and more and more, I think parents are saying, why aren't we acting a little bit faster to stay in line with the science, to stay, when the quarantine went from 14 to 10 days, how long? I mean, some schools were at 14 days for a very long time. And so parents are asking, I think, for the same type of transparency and quickness that we saw in the beginning, now as we're learning more here at the end. And so I think that's where, and I know Southern Boone recently, there were a lot of parents talking about what was going on down there, and they recently revised their policy to this like green, yellow, red mitigation protocols. But that was in response, to parents saying, hey, we really need to keep up with, what we know about the virus these days and where we are as far as vaccines go. And so I think Columbia, that's where parents are. They're saying, look, we know more now. It's time to revise the guidance. We want a chance to, be heard on that.
And let's see what happens here. Oh, you're going to gamble with little kids? No, Jesus Christ, man. Chill. Relax. Like this doctor in South Africa. I'm like, I don't know who this person is. Doctor in South Africa regarding the new variant.
Currently, there's no reason for panicking.
Currently, which is key, there is no reason for panicking. Chill. Nothing to worry about. Fauci, here's his take.
Prepare for the worst.
And I'm not missing a whole lot of context there. And actually, if I were to add context to his comments there, technically it would really only make it worse for him. 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com. Coming up a little bit after 8 o'clock this morning, about 8:10, Christian Rehder has something called the Heartlander News. Relatively newer publication, younger conservative dude, and appreciate that. And I'm always willing to highlight when folks do things like that. He's going to be joining us at 8:10. One of the things that may have kind of slipped under the radar over the past week and a half or so. Interesting story regarding the police chief in Kansas City. He's done a report on that. He's going to share some of that, plus kind of some of his general take now that we're kind of in the holiday season regarding some of the political events happening across the Show Me State. He's going to be joining us coming up 8:10 this morning on 93.9 The Eagle.
Together, we're making wishes come true this holiday season. This is 93.9 The Eagle and Culligan Water's Holiday Wish.
We're continuing to make holiday wishes come true with our 93.9 The Eagle Holiday Wish with Culligan Water. I want to introduce you to some folks. DJ and his wife every morning goes out, sees the kids off on the school bus, and DJ really has, I guess, one big ask this morning, and it's not even that big of an ask. So me and Hannah and Steph, Brian, we all thought, well, maybe we could do something. So DJ, tell us about your wife.
So, every morning, especially now, she stands outside with the kids, at the bus stop, and she's always just working her tail off around the house and outside most of the time. So, she definitely needs a coat for a lot of the things that she does.
And how old are your kids?
We got a 4-year-old, a 7-year-old, and an 8-year-old.
So how long has she gone by with just no winter coats?
Honestly, I've known her for a little over 3 years now, and I've never known her to have one. She has like hoodies, and sometimes I'll see her with a blanket out there. I gave her my hoodies too, but a nice winter coat would really do her very well.
Well, listen, we've talked it over, and we want to do what we can to help. I think the very simplest thing we can do, DJ, is we are going to send your wife on a shopping spree at Old Navy, and that way she can get whatever she wants, including her very own winter coat. And we'll do that for you from 93.9 The Eagle and Culligan Water. How does that sound?
Oh, wow. Okay, thank you. We definitely and greatly appreciate that. That's amazing. Thank you guys so much.
93.9 The Eagle and Culligan Water's Holiday Wish. Submit a wish for a friend, coworker, family member, or someone who may need a little help this holiday season at 939theeagle.com.
Hey, it's Coach Gary Pinkel. I like to listen to Branden Rathert on Wake Up Columbia 93.9 The Eagle.
Hey everybody, McConaughey here. Listen, over the past 2 years, I've been working on the answer to the question of how I can be most useful in this life going forward.
Does anybody want to say, well, you can shut your mouth and don't bother us anymore? Matthew McConaughey, here's how you know we're in that slow news cycle, the end of the year. That's one of the big stories Fox News is covering. Matthew McConaughey, the actor, saying he's not going to run for Texas governor, something he'd been toying with for a while. Puts out a bunch of videos. Anybody who not only refers to themselves in the third person, but then does it by identifying that third person with their last name, it just makes me giggle a little bit.
You're really offended by the third person?
I am. The whole third person would be like, hey, Branden here had a good trip to Idaho.
It's like you saying, let's go, Branden, all the time.
Yeah, but that has meaning, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's not me talking about myself. People who are talking about themselves, i.e. in the third person, and especially using the last name. Do you know anybody who talks about themselves in the third person?
Like on a consistent basis or like a passing comment here and there?
Even a passing comment here and there.
I mean, sometimes.
Sometimes I post on social media in third person just because like it's like the vibe or the mood.
Quit being cranky.
Because everybody wants to see my Thanksgiving Day spread because I've never seen one before. I was quirky on social media this weekend. So people refer to themselves. I never refer to myself on social media as third person. Do people put, so you type in, if you're typing something, you put, Hannah, the producer, had a really good weekend, and you show the weekend of your turkey spread?
If I'm posting on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page, I would say it like that. But you.
On your personal page?
On my personal page, probably not. But Branden, you always say, come on, Rathert.
Yeah,
you say
I do.
that.
Yeah.
I do. But I do it in a self. You're right. I do, but I do it in a self-effacing manner.
Careful.
To when I'm having because I mess up a lot. I have some things that aren't perfect, and I mess up even here in the playground.
You're doing a great job. Keep it up.
That's what I'm telling you. Dang it, Rathert. I'm going, dang it, Rathert, spit out.
I had a cute picture, and I was on a dance floor, and I posted, like, she loves a dance floor. And it was a picture of me, but it was, like, in the third person, but it was, like, kind of silly, you know? So, like, I mean, you can post, I mean, as long as you're not doing it all the time, I think is what Hannah's point was.
There's bigger things to be upset about on a Monday morning.
Exactly. So let's move forward. Coming up 8:10, Christian Rehder, Heartlander News, is going to be joining us. Interesting story regarding reporting from the Kansas City Star and the police chief in that area. Christian Rehder's in a story on this. He's going to be joining us at 8:10 this morning here on 93.9 The Eagle. Fox News, of course, they are here at 8 o'clock. What we know so far about this new variant out of South Africa, where Joe Biden has restricted travel from several countries. People are coming down on Joe hard this morning. Did you see that? Like people lambasting him, xenophobic, racist. You're only doing that because brown people live there.
I did not see that.
Oh, they're not? They're not freaking out that Joe did that?
No freakouts.
Did I conflate my stories or something?
Yeah, I think you're like having some amnesia. It was like last year there was a freakout maybe.
Oh, okay. So the previous president, in an effort to try to keep us safe and keep us this nastiness from spreading because we didn't know what it was, I do remember he shut down travel from some countries and people didn't take too kindly to it.
They did not.
But now
we're just keeping people safe.
I love it. Something we can do for you, 874-9390, 874-9390. Wasn't Matthew McConaughey identifying himself and not referring to himself in the third person? I would say in that situation, no, because he's on video. I get what you're saying, though. It's like when you're on the phone, because he's on video. You don't do a video and say, hey, it's Branden here. If you're watching my video.
Yeah, you literally do that.
What if he knew you were going to play it on the radio?
Hey, I'm Branden Rathert.
Matthew McConaughey, I don't think Branden Rathert has to do that. Matthew McConaughey, I don't think has to go, hey, McConaughey here. I think people would know who he is, right? He's in the news, been in the news for a while. Fox News been talking about him. People know who Matthew McConaughey is. I don't think if you're Matthew McConaughey, you have to go, hey, McConaughey here.
How many times has like a celebrity posted something on social media and I'll go to show you and you're like, who is that? It's like just because they're famous and making a video doesn't mean that they shouldn't identify themselves.
So those celebrities aren't identifying themselves.
Well, if I've ever shown you a video and you go, who is that? If they would have identified themselves, you would have known.
Right. And then
Then you would have known he was in the video?
Right. Again, it's not that big of a deal. But
Then
it's
why do you keep bringing it up?
I'm not. I said, let's move forward. But you guys I was the one who kept saying, let's move forward. Fox News is here. What we know so far about this newest variant, Brian Hauswirth is here, too. Some of the things people got to be talking about locally. And then at 8:10, Christian Rehder is going to be joining us, talking about the story, the way the Kansas City Star reported on the Kansas City police chief no longer being the Kansas City police chief. He's here at 8:10 on 93.9 The Eagle. It's Wake Up Columbia. Good morning.
It still hasn't been detected here. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, with 2 cases of the new Omicron COVID variant have been found in Canada, and it spread across Europe to Australia after first showing up in South Africa. President Biden will give us an update later this morning.
Today is also the day the travel ban kicks in for those coming to the United States from South Africa. And to be clear to our viewers, it does not apply to American citizens in South Africa who want to come home. The president's chief COVID advisor, Dr. Anthony Fauci, said publicly yesterday it'll take about 2 weeks before we have definitive data on this strain.
That was David Spunt on the Fox News channel. Fauci told NBC's Meet the Press.
If you're not vaccinated, get vaccinated. If you're fully vaccinated, get boosted and get the children vaccinated also.
More than 80% of Americans 12 and older have had at least one shot, 99.9% of those 65 and up. Today is the day thousands of U.S. sailors and Marines could face discipline for not meeting yesterday's COVID vaccine deadline. And not surprisingly, vaccine is Merriam-Webster's word of the year. They'll start to pick a jury today in Chicago to put an actor on trial. Fox's Jeff Manasso on the case live.
Dave, jury selection begins for Jussie Smollett, accused of multiple felony counts and of lying in an alleged hate hoax stemming from a 2019 attack in downtown Chicago when the black gay actor claimed that 2 men wearing MAGA hats beat him. The men, it turns out, were his friends who tell investigators that Smollett paid them to do it. The original case against him was dropped, then revived by a special prosecutor. The actor, who became a national punchline, has pled not guilty. No cameras will be allowed in court. Dave.
Jeff, they plan to seat a jury today in New York City, then start opening arguments in Ghislaine Maxwell's trial. She was a friend of the late Jeffrey Epstein, accused of recruiting minor girls for him to have sex with. Epstein committed suicide in jail in 2019, awaiting trial. America's listening to Fox News.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. Our time is 8:03. It's 39 right now in Columbia. Partly sunny skies. We're expecting a high today up around 60 degrees. The overnight low will get down into the 30s once again. Good morning, everyone. Here's some of the stories we are working on this morning. An arraignment date has not been set yet for an accused Boone County murderer. 36-year-old Mark Achterberg is charged with first-degree murder and armed criminal action for the November 8th death of Justin Stidham. He was found shot to death at a home on North Kent Drive. Achterberg has been captured by authorities in Creston, Iowa. Boone County Sheriff's Captain Brian Lear tells 93.9 The Eagle that Boone County deputies are waiting for Achterberg's extradition hearing in Iowa. That's been delayed a few times. The suspect remains jailed this morning without bond. Staffing shortages and COVID are to blame for the decision to close the Jefferson City Animal Shelter to the public this week. That closure starting this morning. Again, it's closed to the public, not closed overall. City officials say the shelter lacks the staff needed to remain open to the public. We'll update that story when they make another announcement or decision about what to do after this week. Columbia police say 2 juveniles have been detained for that Thanksgiving morning shooting. It happened near Old Highway 63. Another juvenile has been injured with life-threatening injuries after he was shot. Police say the victim has been taken to a local hospital. CPD says the 2 juvenile suspects are in the custody of Boone County juvenile authorities. They add this was not a random act of violence. United Airlines' recent decision to indefinitely suspend flights at Columbia Regional Airport involves pilot and staffing shortages. That's according to COU's manager. Michael Parks tells 93.9 The Eagles CEO Roundtable the decision is not permanent. He says COU has a great relationship with United Airlines.
United will be back. It's all about timing and getting things right with their business, but they had to make that decision, and unfortunately we were one on that list.
United will be suspending flights at Columbia Regional in January. Mr. Parks says their last flight will be on January the 3rd. That is a Monday. United currently operates 2 flights from Columbia to Chicago O'Hare. COU is one of 8 airports impacted by United's indefinite decision. And we have more on that, including the interview on 939theeagle.com. Speaking of COU, the manager says flights from Columbia Regional to Charlotte are likely to happen. He adds they're having conversations with American Airlines about Charlotte. Michael Parks telling us that the Charlotte area is an important region with Mizzou being in the SEC. COU has received an $800,000 federal grant for twice daily service to Charlotte. Columbia City Council has approved the proposed agreement. Part of Madison Street in downtown Jefferson City about ready to reopen this morning. Part of it was closed this morning as the 2021 Missouri Governor's Mansion Christmas trees have been arriving. Governor Parson says the 30-foot Norway spruce that'll be outside was donated by Steve and Carla Lively of Columbia. That's the one that'll be displayed on the mansion lawn. The mansion's interior tree is a 20-foot Norway spruce supplied by Herman's Pea Ridge Forest. Carla Lively is Zimmer Radio's manager. She and her husband donated the tree because it had grown too large for their front yard. The Department of Conservation and OA installing those trees. And don't forget the annual tree lighting ceremony and candlelight tours will take place Friday evening from 6 to 8 at the Governor's Mansion. And the prisoner who was released from a Missouri prison last week after serving more than 40 years continues to have money raised for him. He also participated in the Mayor's Christmas Light celebration at Crown Center.
More than $1.4 million had been raised as of Saturday for a man who spent 43 years behind bars before a Missouri judge overturned his conviction in a triple killing. Midwest Innocence Project set up the GoFundMe page as they fought for Kevin Strickland's release, noting he wouldn't receive compensation from Missouri and would need help to pay for his basic living expenses. John Marsh, 93.9 The Eagle.
All right, John, thank you so much. Our news is brought to you this morning by the Callaway Bank. A dedicated customer care team is with you. You can call or text them 7 days a week. Callaway Bank is with you for the moments that matter. 93.9 The Eagle news time is 8:07. In sports, former Chief star lineman Curly Culp has passed away at the age of 75. The star is reporting he had been battling pancreatic cancer. He's a key player on the Chiefs team that won Super Bowl IV against Minnesota. Mizzou women's basketball team now 7-0. They won the Christmas City Classic, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, to beat Lehigh 88-67. Lauren Hansen, 34 points for Mizzou. Tigers hitting 15 three-pointers on Sunday. And Mizzou finishing the regular season 6-6. They fell to Arkansas Friday afternoon in Frank Broyles Field in Fayetteville. Number 25 Arkansas wins that game. Tiger running back Tyler Beatty breaking Mizzou's single-season rushing record on Friday alone. 219 yards, 41 carries, touchdown. Breaks a record set in 1998 by Devin West. Again, we'll find out all the bowl selections coming up on Sunday morning. Our sports brought to you this hour by Woods Basement Systems. Call 800-388-9326 for a free estimate. Our news time, 8:08. All right, John, thanks. Our weather is brought to you by Woods Basement Systems. It's 37 degrees.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
8:09 here on 93.9 The Eagle. Our traffic check is with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com to find a job or post your job opening today. Things are pretty quiet this morning on the roads in mid-Missouri. We talked about the Christmas trees being sent and being delivered, if you will, to the governor's mansion in Jefferson City. That did close Madison Street for part of the 7 o'clock hour, actually most of it. Other than that, it's been a pretty quiet morning. If you do see a traffic issue, give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
But I actually think those mandates actually are hardening those individuals who are not interested in getting vaccinated. If you go around our state and you talk to those individuals that have not gotten vaccinated, in large measure, a lot of them have gotten the virus, and so they believe they have some natural immunity, and they were thinking about getting vaccinated as they got beyond the 90 days or got beyond the 180 days. But the president's insistence on mandating them have hardened them against the vaccine. So
that's me. That's Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves. That is exactly me, man. You tell me to do something, I'm going to do the opposite. That was one of my biggest personal battles in trying to figure out whether or not I should do the vaccine. It was because I wanted to do it on my own accord, because I thought, man, if I get to a point where you have to tell me that I'm going to have to do this. It was that. It was a friend of mine being laid out, very healthy, robust guy being laid out on a couch for a month, 6 weeks almost, and $15,000 in hospital bills in 2 days. I would rather. I don't want to deal with that. I can deal with everything else. Don't want to deal with that. So that was part of my decision. By the way, local parents, Columbia Public School District students checking in, because there's been late last week ruling issued by a judge in Cole County, and I think it was specifically related to the St. Louis area as it relates. And forgive us, we're doing the best we can. A lot of us haven't necessarily been in town over the last several days. So we're trying to do the best we can to make sure we bring you the accurate and the latest info on this.
So it was folks from St. Louis who actually brought the lawsuit. It was brought in Cole County because the defendant is the Department of Health and Senior Services. And so the judgment was against them, but it does apply statewide because what the court did was said that there were these regulations, these DHSS regulations that allowed DHSS and the local health officials to issue certain guidelines, restrictions, those kinds of things, gave them authority. And basically, Judge Green in Cole County said violates separation of powers principles, it violates equal protection, and it violates the Administrative Procedures Act. And basically, they no longer have the authority to do that. And so it said all of these local health orders are void and unenforceable. Now, that is different than if a school had implemented some type of mask requirement or something else.
So parents saying they're dropping their kids off at school without masks. Apparently, a lot of kids at some of these schools anyways, they're not wearing masks. And a lot of folks, they too, apparently based on what a few parents are telling me, oftentimes kids are in the schools are not wearing masks and hardly anybody flips out.
People are just tired. I mean, I was shocked because I've done a lot of traveling, been to some big cities, and I thought, when you go to the big cities, it's way different. But I was in Nashville. No one was wearing a mask. And I went to Trader Joe's in St. Louis on my way home. I was worried because, people there are a little intense. And, I mean, there were a handful of people wearing masks, and I thought, I don't even have a mask with me. But most people were not wearing masks.
Trader Joe's in St. Louis, that's probably like going to the Schnucks there on Forum.
Yeah,
here.
right?
It's and I love Schnucks. It's St. Louis-based grocery store, and I appreciate that about Schnucks. And I grew up with Schnucks in St. Louis. But, man, I walk into a Schnucks.
I was ready to get the dirty looks and stuff, but really I didn't have any problems.
I feel like I'm in downtown San Francisco, right next to that mayor there or something when I walk into a Schnucks. There's Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
Brian Hauswirth is joining us.
Good morning, everyone.
There's Hannah, the producer.
Good morning.
My name is Branden. Rathert joining us in the studio now, Christian Rehder. He's got a great publication online. You should really check this out because I figure if the guy's talking about it here, I'm thinking it's something that you are going to like. It's the Heartlander News, heartlandernews.com. Before we talk about this Kansas City police chief, this story I'd been following in the Kansas City Star. That might be my issue in trying to comprehend this story. Christian, what's the impetus behind the Heartlander News? Is it money?
It's
journalistic integrity is about the money, right? You eventually want to monetize it.
Well, if anybody got into journalism for money, then they're in the wrong business.
Yeah.
But our kind of point is to tell the story that we feel, tell the side of the story that we feel has been overlooked and not told on the media side of things, and especially locally where so many people fall conservatively, but they don't have something that kind of speaks to their side of things, and so we have kind of done that since we started. But the chief Rick Smith story was pretty peculiar.
Yeah, Rick Smith, police chief, Kansas City. He's still still the police chief in Kansas City. Now there was a recent ruling that in effect went against his department. Set this up for us.
So, and I don't know. To preface this, last week saw Kansas City Star's article that Chief Smith was apparently being forced out, and the way that they said after this ruling of the manslaughter conviction for the officer, but there was no connection to Chief Smith when they made that, so it was just like throwing it in there just to take a stab at KCPD.
So you can be accurate, but tying stuff together, saying, since Joe Biden, that's not a good example because everything's gone since January 20th. But saying he's out because of this ruling that went in effect against a police officer within the police department. I think the Kansas City Star may have been trying to create this thing that, Rick Smith, the stuff finally got to him.
Yeah. And it was intentionally misleading, is the way that I like to say it, because it's not false. This story came out after this conviction, but to my knowledge at least, they had nothing to do with each other. And then going back with the intentionally misleading part, they connected it to, so many people are upset with the KCPD now, and so a.k.a. the Board of Police Commissioners, are upset with Chief Smith, and so they told him, or the Star reported that he was told he had the votes to be ousted. Multiple sources, every source that I spoke to close to the situation said that's unequivocally untrue, that he actually, for the past 4 years, has planned to leave in 2022, and it's never been a discussion.
And I don't pay I pay attention to Kansas City politics because a lot of times, the wind blows west-east, and it blows them politics right into Columbia sometimes. So I pay attention. But I thought I had heard him say when he became chief that, hey, listen, this is not a lifetime thing for me. I even seem to recall that.
He has always said that. He has always stuck to 2022. He wanted to do 5 years of time. He felt that was enough to where he could make a good difference. And like you said, he didn't want it to turn into like a lifetime thing. But they are, I don't know who is telling him that they have the votes, but the multiple people that I talked to that have been on the board, that deal with the board daily, say that the board loves him.
So it's one of those stories. It's not so. By the way, our guest, Christian Rehder, HeartlanderNews.com, hanging out with us in the studio. This is a Missouri-centric, maybe even mid-Missouri-centric, fairly new publication. That's why I would, as a favor, I would ask you to check it out. HeartlanderNews.com. Christian Rehder is our guest on the show this morning on 93.9 The Eagle. So it's not so much about the politics at play in Kansas City as much as it's another example, because for years I would hear everybody, mainstream media, the mainstream media does this and that. I get tired of the phrase mainstream media. I think it's overused. I get what they're saying. But making those general claims, I think you have to bring specific examples, and that's one of the things we've done a lot. For example, see, I even saved this headline, Christian, from CNN. I did a screen. Thank goodness for Hannah giving me the tutorial on doing screenshots off my phone. But I had a screen because I thought, man, people just aren't going to believe this headline. But it's the way they run. It's the way they operate. But it was a headline from CNN this weekend. And the headline, the new variant is raising concerns during the holiday travel season, but don't panic just yet. Because what is it we accuse the news outlets of doing? Trying to scare people.
Inciting panic.
Inciting panic. And CNN is saying it in that. Don't panic just yet.
You can panic, but just not right now. Just wait for it for a little bit.
When we tell you to, 3, 2, 1, you're going to panic. But so I appreciate what you do here, because if you have people, let's say in the Kansas City area, people paying attention to Kansas City politics, they see that one Kansas City Star story, and you're going, oh, man, Chief got forced out. He must have really sucked.
Well, it's a big deal, Branden. Thank you for having Christian on, because it's a big story, and there are ties to the legislature as well. If I could ask a question, because obviously you've got Chief Smith, you've got the crime issue in Kansas City, but there is likely to be a call for, if not a special session, there is likely, now they could do it at the beginning of the year if the governor calls it, but one of the last stories I did at Missouri Net, Representative Doug Ritchie, who's from the Northland, Excelsior Springs, and Josh Hurlburt, about 4 of them, and you've talked to them all, they all wanted the governor to call a special session about what the Kansas City Council did about essentially taking out money from the police department budget, and the police commissioners did not like that. Now, the governor said he felt like that should have been addressed in the regular session, but could that theoretically, I guess he could the governor call a special session in January just to address this? Are you hearing anything like that? That'd be very rare if that were to happen.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he can. I don't think he will, though, because I think that he's maybe has a few other things that are top of priority for him. But I do know that the council members, the city council members of Kansas City, and Board of Police Commissioners and everybody is kind of fighting that situation because they took like $43 million just away from the police department. So
yeah, and they waited till the chief went out of town. That whole thing, man, that was dastardly what they did.
They texted him like a few hours before, like, "Hey, just letting you know we're slashing your budget." Like,
it's like when the parents got to tell when you're young and you're going to throw a party because the parents, but you got to text mom and dad. All right, really make sure they're already down at the lake before we really start, because they may be jiving us, man. Let's really make sure they're at the lake, and that's what they did. Hey, Chief, you really got out of town, right? Yeah, we slashed millions of dollars from your budget. So it's about so it is about that story, but it's also about the way that I don't want to even say perceived, the way that the news outlets try to paint an image of what's going on. And I think we have another great example. Can you hang out for a while? Do you have class or something? All right. Because Stephanie, we have the Morning Bell business news with that little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you. But there's some other things as it relates to media, as it relates to journalism I want to cover with you. We'll hang out with Christian Rehder here on 93.9 The Eagle. What's coming up in the Morning Bell today?
Well, I tried to bolster the economy with my own shopping. But what was shopping looking like for Black Friday, and what are we expecting today?
Bell numbers included, and that's called the bell curve, right? You spend this much. That's coming up about 8:27 on 93.9 The Eagle.
putting the fun in dysfunctional. Wake Up Columbia, 93.9 The Eagle.
Do you hear how warm it's supposed to get today? It's going to be nice. ABC 17 Storm Track forecast coming up here shortly on 93.9 The Eagle. Right now, time for the opening bell with Stephanie Bell. Business news with that little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you.
So we've heard about inflation and everything else, but what are people doing as far as shopping? I find these numbers fascinating. So we're up 47.5% for Black Friday from last year when everyone stayed home. So that's a good sign, but that's still down 28.3% from 2019. So whether or not, I know I saw a lot of people saying like they started their Black Friday sales like a week ago. So whether or not people were just shopping kind of early or whether or not that's overall a decline is still yet to be determined. But for the first time ever, online Black Friday spending declined from the year previous, which was from down to $8.9 billion from $9 billion in 2020. So I find that interesting because I do worry about people having, just less discretionary income, that the last 2 years have been harder on people, and how that, and then it trickles down, right? So like if I'm not spending as much at my local businesses or whatever on my Christmas shopping, that hurts them. And so it's a ripple effect on people. So I worry about people tightening their belts during the holiday season when some of these especially small businesses are probably counting on a really good holiday season to, keep them in the black.
What was it? Reaganomics, the trickle down effect. But I like if we can combine the two, because I like that. You said ripple effect. What if we called it the ripple down?
Right.
Right, because it's more of a ripple out as opposed to, and I think that may have I think back to the day Reagan, it'll trickle down economics. It was implying trickle down, rich people up here and us down here. But if you do the ripple effect, it doesn't have that nasty connotation to it. Coming up, Christian Rehder, Heartlander News, going to be hanging out with us, talking some Missouri politics. Maybe talk about that Senate race that everybody is in. And then Fox News, of course, there's here the latest on this newest variant out of Africa. What we know about that this morning. And then Brian Hauswirth is here at 8:31.
I'm Chris Foster. After an update from his medical team, President Biden this morning updates the public about the new coronavirus variant called Omicron. There's a travel ban in place because of it.
The Biden administration today is stopping air travel to and from 8 nations in southern Africa, including the nation South Africa. Canadian officials say they've already found Omicron cases in their country. None are detected yet in the U.S., but it is likely already here.
Fox's Evan Brown. Former Defense Secretary Mark Esper is suing the Defense Department for not clearing his book for publication, saying he's been told to take out parts about former President Trump. An NBA star becomes an American citizen today.
Boston Celtics center Enes Kanter said he's going to change his legal name to Enes Kanter Freedom. Kanter has been the NBA's most outspoken player on global human rights matters, fighting for those in China as well as Tibet, Hong Kong, and Taiwan, and his native Turkey.
Fox's Jared Max. America's listening to Fox News.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. Our time is 8:31. It's 41 right now, partly sunny in Columbia, 39 in Jefferson City. Our high today around 60 degrees. Good morning, everyone. Here's some of the stories we are working on for you at this hour. A mid-Missouri man suffering serious injuries in a one-vehicle crash. It happened on Thanksgiving night in Boone County. State troopers say 68-year-old Robert Walker of Huntsville was transported to University Hospital here in Columbia. An accused Columbia killer is still behind bars this morning in Iowa, awaiting extradition back to Missouri. He is 36-year-old Mark Achterberg. He was captured earlier this month, you'll recall, in Creston, Iowa. He's charged with first-degree murder murder for the death of Justin Stidham, who was shot to death just north of Columbia. We have more on this story on our website, 939theeagle.com. Citing staffing shortages and the issue of COVID, the Jefferson City Animal Shelter is closed to the public this week. Starting this morning, we're told the shelter lacks the staff needed to remain open to the public. All adoptions and redemptions are appointment only until further notice. 939theeagle.com. You can find more details. Columbia Regional Airport's manager says the $23 million new terminal project at COU is expected to be done by the summer of 2022. COU's current terminal was built in 1968. Airport manager Michael Park says it doesn't represent us well.
I think about when ball teams fly in. I've seen, when we've had diverted aircraft fly in and people come in, they go, where in the world are we at? We're out in the middle of nowhere and an outdated facility.
Main funding source for the new airport terminal is a hotel tax Columbia voters approved in 2016. The FAA and MoDOT are also providing funding. And you're being invited to attend Thursday afternoon's beam signing and topping off ceremony at Columbia Regional Airport. It's all part of a $23 million new terminal being built at COU. Thursday's beam signing is at 1:30. Topping off ceremony will start at 2. Again, it is open to the public. Mayor Brian Treese of Columbia and Jefferson City's Mayor Carrie Turgeon will both be speaking at that event. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you this morning by Hemi Construction, Homes and Lots in the southwest neighborhoods of Chapel Hill Meadows, Nursery Heights, and Creek's Edge. Our news time, 8:33. In sports, the Mizzou women's basketball team is now 7-0. They won the Christmas City Classic, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. They beat Lehigh 88-67. Mizzou hit 15 three-pointers on Sunday. Lauren Hansen scoring 34 points. And the Missouri Tiger men's football team, of course, finishes the regular season 6-6. They fell to Arkansas 34-17. Friday afternoon, Frank Broyles Field, that is in Fayetteville. Tiger running back Tyler Beatty breaking Mizzou's single-season rushing record, 219 yards on the ground on Friday, 41 carries. He had a touchdown as well. Our sports is brought to you this hour by Missouri Heart Center, comprehensive cardiovascular care in the heart of Missouri. It's moheartcenter.com. Our news time, 8:34.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
And our traffic check is with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com to find a job or post your job opening today. Roads have been pretty quiet in mid-Missouri this morning. No major problems to report. We did have about 7 o'clock hour a car or two. We're still unclear on that from Jointcom hitting a deer. Regardless, the accident has been cleared. No serious injuries are reported. If you do want to report a traffic issue, call or text us, 573-874-9390. We'll have more team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Prepare for the worst.
Fauci yesterday.
Prepare for the worst.
He's excited about this new variant apparently coming out of Africa. Prepare for the worst. I see him like loading up, getting ready for a big old trip. Hey, honey, guess what? We're back on the road. There's a new variant that I can go and talk about. Meanwhile, in South Africa, there's a doctor there. And she is saying, her name is Dr. Angelique Coetzee. She's chairwoman of the South African Medical Association. And her take is...
Currently, there's no reason for panicking.
Currently, and that's an important mention there. Currently.
That's like your headline.
Not
Don't
just
panic yet. Exactly.
Yeah, like CNN saying, don't panic just yet. We'll sound the alarm when it's time for us to scare the hell out of you, man. You'll know when we want you to be scared. But she's saying, hey, right now, no need to worry. As a matter of fact, there was another doctor, Stephanie and I were talking about this earlier. She said the symptoms are unusual and mild. They didn't seem unusual, but like muscle soreness, it just doesn't. And hopefully it is nothing. I hope that it is nothing. Listen, whenever Anthony Fauci gets excited, that's reason for us to be concerned. Welcome into the show. Wake up, Columbia. There's Brian Hauswirth.
Good morning.
Stephanie Bell is here.
Good morning.
Hannah, the producer.
Good morning.
My name is Branden. Rathert. Something we can do for you, 874-9390. A guest join us. Christian Rehder has something called the Heartlander News. And since you are listening to Wake Up Columbia, I thought you might like this, but it's kind of like, it's Missouri-centric, mid-Missouri kind of centric news. And there was a purpose to you going forward with the Heartlander News, heartlandernews.com.
Yeah, just we felt that, a lot of sides of stories, of bigger stories that get a lot of attention are only being told from one point of view, with one bias, with one side of the story being told, and then a lot of people got left out. And yeah.
As a matter of fact, somebody just texted 874-9390, says, Branden, you're not being fair to Fauci. You're not including context in what he said.
Prepare for the worst.
Okay, here's some context. I'll play some of what he said before. He said, prepare for the worst.
As I've said so often, prepare for the worst.
I don't think that helps. There's your context. I've sounded this alarm before. I don't think context helps in this situation. One of the highlights you'd find right now on the Heartlander, heartlandernews.com story regarding the police chief in Kansas City. And it's not so much about the police chief, even though there's been a bunch of news surrounding him, as much as the way some news outlets out of the Kansas City area had kind of portrayed the story, kind of saying he got pushed out because of this. 5 years ago, he said, I'm going to hold this position for 5 years, and that's about it. Let me ask you this. I get that you're kind of conservative, libertarian, what have you. How old are you?
24, 25 next month.
24, 25 years old. Hannah's 21. We respect the heck out of Hannah. She's still on campus getting her degree in agriculture, so she can become official here on Wake Up Columbia. You have to have a degree in agriculture here.
It's pretty applicable.
But we're excited. She's got like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, and she is done. We are excited. But it's been interesting over the years as she's kind of shared some of her experiences. Now, she doesn't go out, waving a flag saying, I'm a conservative. She doesn't do that.
Right.
But what is it for somebody like you?
Speaking on campus?
On campus, yeah.
It can be very topsy-turvy because you never know. If you're a conservative and you are, like when I was in college, I was part of College Republicans and, did that kind of work. When people find out about that, or when teachers more so find out about that, there's not. Now, I don't want to jump the gun and say that
I'm listening. My ears perked up.
that they didn't graded me harshly.
I'm hitting the record button. Go on.
I don't want to say that they, outright graded me more harsh because I was conservative or anything. But I will say I definitely noticed I didn't get the same attention when I'd ask questions in class, or didn't get the same attention when I'd raised my hand to answer a question that she had asked, and things like that, just because I was noticed at an event one time where a lot of teachers were there.
Really?
Specifically, I remember.
So, and that's something else anecdotally that I've heard over the years. I've had people, they'll text and say, yeah, I feel like, and I don't know if it's true or not, because half the stuff we imagine in our head, it's not reality. We always think these people are out to get me. They're plotting against me. They're out to, and they're not.
Yeah, but I think in class, a lot, when I was in political science, a lot of it was a discussion with the professor. And so you definitely there were certain times where I felt like, the professor was like, oh yeah, agreeing with people. And then there were times where you would try to speak up and they would push back. And, I think there's a certain level of learning that happens when someone's playing the devil's advocate and challenging you on your positions. But there's another certain level where you feel unsupported and not attacked, but you just know that what you're saying, from the look on their face and from what they've said before that they don't agree.
Right. And because so often, whether it's in a classroom or with friends or whatever, so many people want to prove they're right, or they want to win a discussion. A good example, I think, recently of somebody, even though I don't agree with his political beliefs, current school board member David Seaman, who's running for mayor of Columbia. And we were talking, he wants a homeless shelter and butterflies and flowers, and it's going to be utopia there. And I was explaining, I in my work with homeless people and panhandlers over the years, it's not going to be anything like that. And went into this long thing about how I disagreed with them, and he says, okay. What do you do? What do
That doesn't happen anymore.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
But I laugh because that's something I do a lot, and I got that from my grandfather. Man, I'd be 14 years old, and I was 2 years away from knowing everything when I was 14 years old. And I'd say, "But Grandpa," and I'd go on for like minutes trying to prove my point, and Grandpa this and that, and that's why this, and he'd go, "Okay." What are you doing?
You can't argue. You'll like this. So I was playing a game with my sister in Nashville this weekend, and it's called Who's Most Likely To, and it would be like, who's most likely to do it just for Instagram? Have you played this?
Yes.
It's so good. And so they're like, who's most likely to do it just for the gram? They're like, Stephanie. But
who's most likely to do it for what?
For Instagram.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
or whatever.
Stephanie, would you agree with that, Hannah?
Yeah. Who's most likely to not know what gram means? Branden Rathert.
But this one.
Wait, I know what gram means.
But this one said, who's most likely to, and it says, doesn't let facts stand in their way. And because my sister's like a big liberal, I was like, Sarah. And I posted that. So, yeah. But with your professor, that's what I think what you were getting to, Branden, is there's so many, you have these arguments, but I think it's turned, and for me, from the liberal side, it's turned so emotional, and we no longer argue about facts. Yeah. And that's why, in the classroom and other places, you can bring up facts and people are just like, well, I disagree because my feelings are hurt or whatever.
Because I think that's wrong. And it's like, well, they're facts, they're statistics, they're
Florida over the weekend, University of Florida, their group of students, they wanted to, and I knew this was going to happen one day. I just was hoping that it wouldn't. Group of college students at University of Florida, the same college that Mizzou beat this past weekend, a week and a half ago. They wanted to get rid of the name Black Friday because they didn't like the way it sounded. And that's the proper look. If you're watching on YouTube on the 93.9 Eagle live channel on YouTube, you'd see Christian Rehder right now is giving the proper response. But it is so hard, because like Stephanie, we disagree on things sometimes, and we'll sit here and not just on air, but even here. Well, okay, but not. It's not like a thing.
It shouldn't have to be, I don't think. Yeah. And going back to the college campuses, it's when you get into a discussion, whether it be political, especially with my political science / communications journalism degree, I was in a lot of these discussions with professors about certain stances and things like that. But when they are in charge of the classroom. So I feel like a lot of them have to feel like they got the last word and they won the argument or discussion or whatever it is. And you're talking to an 18-year-old college student. It's why do you care this much? But they are very passionate.
Hey, before we let you go, check out the website, heartlandernews.com. Really think you'll like it. And I know we have a lot of time. But this Senate race, 2022 U.S. Senate race, is getting exciting.
I was wondering if you were going to get in there sometime soon.
Oh, God, no. Stephanie Bell's been asked. Stephanie, haven't you been asked to run for 2022? People have been asking you to run for some office.
Not for Senate.
Not for Senate.
And I'm not running for anything.
By the way, new polling out just a few days ago. Democrats, who do Democrats like on the Democrat side for president 2024? Number 2 on the list, Kamala Harris. Who was number 1 on the list? We'll have that answer coming up about 8:50 here on 93.9 The Eagle. Right now, I won't ask who it is you like, but do you see? We've got Hartzler, Greitens, Schmidt,
Billy
Long, Schatz, and I'm sure I'm missing somebody because the field keeps growing, and we're just over a year from the election, but about 8 months from a primary. Who do you see right now, as we wrap this up, who do you see right now emerging victor? I'm asking you to make a prediction on something that's 8 months away.
Okay. I will say I have a prediction, but I will say that it is dependent on a potential, maybe it happened, maybe it doesn't, Trump endorsement.
Okay.
He gets in the race. I think that whoever gets his endorsement will win, as plenty of people can assume. I think so, because I don't think he'll get in. I don't think he'll come out and say an endorsement, but I think if he does for anybody, I think it will matter that much. And I could be wrong. That's just my opinion.
So let me ask you this then. So your point of view is because I've been fighting this for almost, not fighting it, but disagreeing with people. and Hannah gets tired every time I tell it because I've been telling a story for 5 years now, 6 years at this point.
You got to let it go.
I was an ardent backer of Trump, and I got my butt kicked for 2 years here on the show because I supported Trump and not Rubio, whom I'd done a lot of work with when I lived in Florida. I didn't support Cruz. It was Trump. So anyhow, nobody is more of an ardent Trump supporter than me except for Trump, Giuliani, and Sean Hannity. But I just don't think, and I'll look to the Virginia race. Youngkin there did it largely without Trump.
He did.
Yeah.
To that, I'd say that I see a different makeup of Missouri versus Virginia. Only the reason it's so vast is because Northern Virginia, is an extension of D.C. People born and raised in Virginia don't even consider Nova part of Virginia. They consider it D.C. because it's that different and that similar to the city. And that is a very large voting population. And I think that there's a lot more never Trump conservatives in that area than there is Missouri, if that makes sense. But my prediction is pretty simple. The guy that has a ton of money and got out first, Eric Schmidt. I think if nothing else huge happens, I think he has a solid chance to win.
So Eric Schmidt, as it is right now,
it's my guess.
It's your guess. Yeah.
I'm not going to say I'm supporting anybody, but I'll say that if I had to put pen to paper today, I think I would write down him as a guess to win.
All right, Christian Rehder, do yourself a favor. Check out heartlandernews.com. I think it's something you'll thoroughly enjoy. Christian, it's always good seeing you, and we'll have to have you back in again. Keep us apprised of what's happening there. We're happy to, because this is small, it's local. It's just another point of view on things, and you would absolutely get my support. Christian, thanks, bud.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right, so coming up, in this polling, Democrats, who they like for president 2024. Kamala Harris, number 2. Who's number 1? We'll have the answer coming up 8:53 on 93.9 The Eagle.
This is the show people are talking about. Wake Up Columbia with Branden Rathert. 93.9 The Eagle.
I'm Dan Abrams. I'm a news analyst, author, and most importantly, a dad. I think a lot about right and wrong.
I love that. Dan Abrams, he does a bunch of interesting things. He's done some reality TV shows that you may have seen. He's got a website, does a bunch of legal stuff. You might see him on ABC all the time. But I thought that was interesting.
I'm Dan Abrams. I'm a news analyst, author, and most importantly, a dad.
And I'm probably just being that cranky old guy that Hannah was referring to earlier this morning, just nitpicking at stuff. But he mentions...
I'm Dan Abrams. I'm a news analyst, author, and most importantly, a dad.
I'm a news analyst, I'm an author, and most importantly, I'm a dad. Well, if that's the most important, would you put that first? I'm being uber cranky.
Dude, what did... We're just coming back from the Thanksgiving holiday. We're supposed to be thankful and happy that we got time off, and you're cranky.
I'm cranky. And I don't know
what's up with that.
And I'm the one that's always like, for example, people upset that we skipped some letters in the Greek alphabet so that we wouldn't name this latest strain of the of COVID G because we wouldn't offend people. It's in their rules. They say typically that doesn't bother me. But this, and Matthew McConaughey referring to himself in the third person. That's what I get burned up about. Let's move forward. Welcome into Wake Up Columbia. Brian Hauswirth, Stephanie Bell, Hannah, the producer. My name is Branden Rathert. Glad you are here. Check out our website. We're going to hear some of these moments throughout the holidays. We'll hear some of these moments along the way that we help make wishes come true with our 93.9 The Eagle Holiday Wish in conjunction with Culligan Water and a whole bunch of other folks like Warren A. Lawson, DDS, MSD, Mid-Missouri Telecom and Security, Culligan Water, Shepherd's, Missouri Vein Care. Go to our website, 939theeagle.com, and you'll want to look for the Holiday Wish. And you can, somebody that you think, here's a family that needs help. Maybe we can do something. If that's you, man, go to our website. Check that out, 939theeagle.com.
Here's a big old serving of leftovers on 93.9 The Eagle. Enjoy.
More still? Even 1, 2, 4 days after Thanksgiving, still left. Yep, still a whole bunch of leftovers. So let's run through some of these leftovers here on the show this morning. Some of the things we haven't got to over the past couple of days. Man, I feel bad for this guy, Columbia guy. And this happened as we were getting ready for Thanksgiving. Some dude the other night, old Highway 63, apparently wrecks, ends up in a ditch. His car flips over, overturns. This dude, 43 years old, able to pull himself up out of this ditch, makes his way up onto the road. It's dark. It's at night. He gets up there and then, boom, gets hit by another car. This is according to several local news outlets. Guy was in serious condition. Man, that sucks. Part of some of our leftovers this morning here on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com. Check us out on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page. Give us a like. And the other thing you can do, Wake Up Columbia on demand anytime, all the time. You just go to our website, 93.9theeagle.com. You can listen to Wake Up Columbia podcast. And it's like the Reader's Digest version, condensed. A lot shorter, and it's all good stuff. Gary Nolan show's coming up next.